The campus belle was a ditzy airhead with childlike innocence. During PE class, she yanked down my sweatpants in front of everyone. I collapsed from humiliation amidst the laughter, missing my grad school interview. She just gasped behind her hand. Sorry, I was just checking if you're going commando. Student council president Hansen shielded her behind him. Melody's just naturally curious. Quit playing innocent. Soon enough, my compromising photos spread across the campus forum. She blinked her big innocent eyes. I was just trying to Photoshop you prettier. Who knew I'd accidentally send it to the wrong group chat? At 3 a.m., a bunch of guys knocked on my dorm door. Heard it's $300 a night. The next day, Melody gasped dramatically, covering her mouth. Oh my god, so that's your nighttime side hustle? I was just joking with my bestie about you being broke. My advisor received an anonymous tip accusing me of improper conduct. With my postgraduate recommendation revoked, I swallowed a whole bottle of sleeping pills in despair. In her dying moments, she whimpered in a sickly sweet voice, "It's all my fault for being so stupid. I never know when to stop joking." Hansen covered for her. "Don't blame yourself. Just say she committed suicide due to mental fragility." When I opened my eyes again, I was back in that PE class where my pants got pulled down. The sunlight on the field was blinding. I clutched the waistband of my sweatpants desperately, watching Melody approach me. Last time around, this was exactly when she'd accidentally trip and panic grab my pants. All 40-something classmates would witness my embarrassing moment. The boys would whistle and jeer while the girls whispered among themselves. I'd faint from sheer humiliation and miss my 2 p.m. graduate school admission interview. But this time, I won't let history repeat itself. Autumn, the gym teacher's whistle blew. Fall in line quickly, we're running 800 meters any second now. I took a deep breath and hurried toward the back of the line. Melody missed her grab and stared at me in surprise. She tilted her head with an innocent look. "Autumn, why are you dodging me?" "Wasn't dodging," I said coldly. "Teacher called me back to formation." Hansen walked over with a frown. "Autumn, Melody's talking to you. What's with the attitude?" Watching this despicable couple made me sick to my stomach. In my past life, I never understood why Melody would destroy me when we had no feud between us. It wasn't until I overheard that conversation before dying that I learned the truth. Turns out Hansen had feelings for me all along. He did all these things just to get my attention and impress me. Meanwhile, Melody was burning with jealousy. Chairman Hansen, why aren't you with your team during class hours? Hansen froze momentarily. I'm always polite to him. Why am I so snappy today? The PE teacher blew his whistle. "Quit dawdling, get ready to run." Melody's sugary voice came from behind. "Brother Hansen, Autumn seems mad at me. Just ignore her. I'll teach her a lesson later." A lesson? We'll see who teaches him a lesson in this lifetime. After finishing the 800-meter run, I deliberately walked toward the crowded area. Just as expected, Melody latched onto me again. "Autumn, do you have some misunderstanding about me?" She tugged at my arm with a voice so sugary it could melt honey. All the guys around turned to look with suggestive glances. Everyone knew Melody was the undisputed campus belle. Her admirers could form a line stretching clear across campus. Who has she ever been this intimate with? I shook off her hand. "Don't touch me." Melody's expression froze momentarily. Her eyes instantly welled up. "Autumn, what's wrong? Did I do something?" Seeing her about to put on another act, I cut her off abruptly. "Melody, are we really that close? Stop calling me Autumn all the time, it's nauseating." Melody stared at me in disbelief, tears welling up in her eyes. How could you say that? Aren't we supposed to be best friends?" "Best friends? I thought we were best friends in my past life too, until she systematically destroyed my life." Hansen snapped. "Autumn, you've gone too far. Melody considered you a friend, and this is how you treat her." I turned to Hansen with a sardonic smile. "President Hansen, why are you getting so worked up? Is Melody someone special to you? Why are you defending her like this?" The moment these words were spoken, the atmosphere shifted noticeably. As student council president with both pedigree and academic excellence, Hansen was the dream guy for countless female students. Though Melody was the campus belle, she'd never admitted to having a boyfriend, judging by how things are unfolding. "Don't talk nonsense." Hansen flushed crimson. Melody panicked too. "Autumn, stop making things up. Hansen and I are just friends. Just friends. Would just friends keep framing me for your sake?" I gave a cold laugh and ignored them. "I've got a graduate recommendation interview at 2 p.m. Can't miss it. I won't let the regrets of my past life repeat themselves." My phone rang the moment I stepped back into the dorm. Unknown caller. I stared at him coldly. "Hello, is this Autumn? I'm calling from the graduate admissions office. Your graduate school recommendation interview has been rescheduled to 9 a.m. tomorrow at the original location. This phone call never happened in my past life. Did my changes alter the course of events? May I ask why the schedule was changed?" "Oh, right. Hansen mentioned you're feeling unwell and requested to reschedule the interview. The faculty has approved after discussion." I turned and walked away. "Hansen." My fingers turned white from gripping the phone too tightly, just as I thought. They wouldn't let me off easy. Well then, bring it on. Let's see what tricks they've got left without the element of surprise. Hanging up the phone, I immediately opened the campus forum. In my past life, my nude photos went viral across the internet tonight. I sneered coldly, though those pictures were photoshopped. With today's advanced AI technology, it's impossible to tell real from fake. By the time I realized and tried to clear my name, it was too late. Everyone had already labeled me as that kind of person. This time, I'm going to strike first. I turned on my phone's video recording and said to the camera, "I'm Autumn, a junior majoring in finance. It's 3:00 p.m. on September 15th. I hereby solemnly declare that any compromising photos or videos circulating online claiming to be of me are fabricated. I reserve the right to pursue legal action." After recording, I uploaded the video to the forum and tagged the school's official account. Replies started pouring in beneath the video almost immediately. What's going on? Why send this out of nowhere? Is Autumn having persecution delusions? Wait, did she piss someone off? I didn't reply, just took screenshots of everything. At 7 in the evening, all the roommates came back. The moment Rainey stepped in, she asked, "Autumn, what's gotten into you today? Why did you treat Melody like that? She's been crying forever. Everyone thinks you went too far." Another roommate, Cece, chimed in, "Seriously, Melody's such a sweetheart. Why are you picking on her?" I looked up at them. In my past life, when rumors were flying everywhere, they chose to believe Melody, even whispered behind my back. Just as expected of someone like her. "She's nice," I scoffed. "Do you even know her?" "Of course I know her," Rainey said. "Melody's pure-hearted and kind to everyone." "Pure-hearted and kind. Then do you know why she's always clinging to me?" The roommates exchanged uneasy glances. "Because she considered you a close friend." I shook my head. "Because of Hanson." The room fell dead silent. "Hanson likes me, and Melody likes Hanson, so she only got close to me to keep me away from Hanson." My roommates widened their eyes in disbelief. "No way. Why would Chairman Hanson ever like you?" Harsh as it was, the statement held truth. Looks-wise, I couldn't hold a candle to Melody. As for family background, I'm just a scholarship student scraping by. Why would someone as perfect as Hanson ever look my way? That's exactly what I thought in my past life too. Didn't learn the truth until my dying breath. What kind of psycho expresses affection like this? Believe it or not, I said. But I'm warning you, stay away from Melody. There's more to her than meets the eye. The moment I finished speaking, my phone started buzzing violently. A flood of messages poured in all at once. "Autumn, you're so prescient. Someone actually posted your photos on the forum, but since you issued that statement beforehand, everyone's now calling out the poster." I immediately opened the forum. An anonymous post topped the forum's front page. "Exposed. The untold truth about finance major Autumn." Clicking in revealed exactly those photos. But the comment section's tone had completely shifted. "OP needs help. They just released a statement and you're posting this. This is so obviously photoshopped. What amateur work. The poster should be investigated immediately. This is criminal." The corners of my mouth curled upward. "Oh, Melody, never saw this coming. Did you?" "Your opening move, easily countered." Just then, the door burst open. Melody rushed in with tears streaming down her face. "Autumn, are you okay? Someone's spreading rumors about you online." What a convincing performance. Had I not known the truth, I might have fallen for her act. "I'm fine," I said flatly. "I've already called the police." Melody froze. "The police, obviously." I stared into her eyes. "Distributing compromising photos is illegal. The police will track down whoever posted that. They'll get what's coming to them, jail time or paying damages." Melody went pale instantly. She stammered, "That's good then. Don't worry, Autumn, we've all got your back." With that, she turned to leave. I called out to stop her. "Melody, what perfect timing. You came right after the forum post went up. You're really well informed." Melody forced a smile. I was just browsing the forum." I stood up and stepped closer to her. "Then do you know where the post's IP address is located?" Melody instinctively stepped back. How would I know?" "The third floor of the school library," I chuckled. "And you just happened to be there between 3 and 6 p.m. Truth be told, I was just guessing." But Melody's reaction confirmed my hunch. I answered, frowning. How did you know I was at the library?" The word slipped out before she could stop herself, and she immediately clapped a hand over her mouth in panic. The roommates were stunned. Cece asked incredulously, "Melody, was it you who sent that?" "It wasn't me." Melody shrieked. "Autumn, don't you dare make baseless accusations." My heart sank. "Why would I ever harm you? We're best friends." I stared at her coldly. "Yeah, why would you?" "Maybe Hanson knows the answer." Melody's pupils constricted sharply. The next second, she actually dropped to her knees. "Autumn, I'm so sorry. This is all my fault. I was just trying to play a joke. I didn't know it would be this serious. Please don't call the police. I'm begging you. I'm kneeling right here." Our roommates were utterly dumbfounded. Who would have thought our campus sweetheart, always so innocent and kind, could do something like this? I looked down at Melody kneeling on the floor. She wept pitifully, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably. Anyone seeing this would think I'm bullying her. Melody, wipe those tears away. That won't work on me. She looked up, malice flashing in her eyes, but it was quickly replaced by a pitiful expression. Autumn, I swear I've learned my lesson. I've already deleted those photos, they're gone for good, deleted. Those photos from my past life were saved on countless phones. 02. It became my lifelong nightmare. Did you really think deleting them would make it all go away? Screenshots last forever. The internet never forgets. Melody, you've ruined my reputation, my future, everything I had. My voice kept rising as I started losing control of my emotions. My roommates were startled. Rainey cautiously pulled at me. Autumn, calm down. Calm down. They have no idea what awaited me had I not been reborn. A tidal wave of humiliation, the scornful whispers of everyone, my mentor's bitter disappointment and disgust. It was the final despair in death. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to stay calm. Can't lose my composure now. This is only the beginning. I'll consider filing a police report, I said, but you must issue a public apology. Make it clear on the forum that you photoshopped those pictures. Melody bit her lip, resentment flashing in her eyes. A public apology would mean the collapse of her carefully crafted persona. The innocent campus belle persona would vanish forever, but she had no choice. Fine, I'll apologize. Do it now. I pulled out my phone, right in front of me, with trembling hands. Melody posted her apology. It was brief, just admitting she photoshopped the image and apologizing to me. But I knew this was far from enough. How could a simple apology make up for everything she did in her past life? Melody, I crouched down to meet her at eye level. This is just the beginning. Everything you've done to me, I'll return it tenfold. Her head jerked up, eyes wide with terror. At that moment, she finally realized I wasn't the same pushover Autumn anymore. Melody stumbled out of the dormitory. The roommates were still in shock. Autumn, what on earth happened? Rainey asked. Why would Melody do this? I looked at them and said, I told you she likes Hanson, and Hanson. I didn't finish my sentence, but they all understood, Cece murmured. So that's why, no wonder she's always clinging to you. But does President Hanson really like you? Who would have thought this guy was such a creep? At 10 p.m., I got a message from Hanson. Autumn, are you happy now? Melody already apologized. What more do you want? I replied with just 2 words. Not enough. Don't push it. Melody's already miserable enough. Miserable. Who's going to pity me? I can't be bothered arguing with him. He's just seeking attention. Early next morning, I went straight to the graduate admissions office. Professor, I need to report Hanson, Mr. One from the graduate admissions office adjusted his glasses. Oh, why do you ask? Doesn't secretly applying for an extension on someone else's behalf count as misconduct? Mr. Wang's expression changed. The postgraduate recommendation interview carries significant weight. If there's indeed fraudulent application activity, it constitutes a serious violation. Autumn, are you absolutely sure you didn't ask Hanson? Positive. I pulled out my phone. Here's my itinerary from yesterday. I was at campus the whole time, perfectly healthy, and, I paused, Professor, you might want to check what reasoning Hanson used to convince you. If he submitted fake medical records or other documents, that would constitute document forgery. At this point, Mr. Wang couldn't stay seated any longer. He immediately called other faculty members and launched an investigation into the matter. What is it? Half an hour later, the truth came to light. Hanson did produce a medical record claiming I had sudden acute gastroenteritis, but that medical record was forged. The hospital seal was photoshopped, and the doctor's signature was forged. This is outrageous, Mr. Wang slammed the table in anger. Forging documents and applying under false pretenses, this constitutes serious misconduct. This must be reported to the faculty immediately. I hung my head, feigning distress. Professor, I think Hanson might have been misled. Who misled you? Melody. I bit my lip. She just posted compromising photos of me online yesterday, and I caught her. Probably trying to frame me again this way. I'm dragging Melody down with me. She's gonna get what's coming to her. The teachers were all shocked. Pornographic photos, framing classmates. This has gone way beyond ordinary campus disputes. Autumn, do you have proof? I opened the forum and pulled up last night's apology post. This is Melody's own admission. A deathly silence fell over the office. The teachers exchanged uneasy glances, clearly unprepared for such complexity. Finally, Mr. Wang said gravely, we'll get to the bottom of this. Autumn, your interview will proceed as scheduled. As for Hanson and Melody, you're gonna face disciplinary action. After leaving the graduate admissions office, I headed straight to the library. Gotta make every second count for interview prep, even though I've prepped for ages. Another review never hurts, especially in this lifetime. I can't afford to let my guard down. The moment I settled into the corner, Hansen came charging over aggressively. Autumn, did you snitch to the grad admissions office? I glanced up at him briefly before returning to my book. He snatched my book away. I'm talking to you. Everyone in the library turned to look. I stood up and said coldly, Hansen, this is a library. If you want to make a scene, take it outside. His face flushed crimson with rage. Do you have any idea I might get disciplinary action because of your tattling? Serves you right. Who told you to forge medical records and request an extension under my name? Hansen was left speechless. He didn't expect me to be so blunt. The old Autumn was always walking on eggshells, constantly weighing others' feelings in every word and action. I'm just looking out for you, he argued unreasonably. You were so emotional yesterday. How could you possibly attend an interview? Hansen, you're being ridiculous. Trying to get my attention this way. How pathetic, you're acting like a clown, and tell Melody this, she'd better stop digging her own grave. Hansen's expression darkened. What are you implying? I took my book back and decided to find another spot. Hansen stopped me. Autumn, Melody has already apologized. Why can't you just let it go? She genuinely regrets it. I paused and looked at him intently. Hansen, I need to ask you something. If someone photoshops your nude photos and posts them online, then casually tosses out a half-hearted apology, would you forgive them? He was left speechless. If someone goes out of their way to ruin your future, then claims it was just a joke, would you just laugh it off? You wouldn't. I cut him off. Yet you're asking for my forgiveness. That makes you worse than a clown. Just trash. Hansen turned pale, stunned by my words. No, I stepped around him. Hansen, stay away from me. You disgust me. I whispered those last two words, just loud enough for him to hear. Hansen froze in place, staring at me in disbelief. I walked away without looking back. The afternoon interview went smoothly, well prepared and performing brilliantly. I left all the professors thoroughly impressed, particularly Professor Wang, who is a towering figure in China's financial sector. Autumn, your professional knowledge is remarkably solid. Your analysis of the current economic landscape is equally insightful. I'm genuinely looking forward to having you join my research team. I bowed excitedly. Thank you, Professor. I'll give it my all. Stepping out of the interview room, I let out a long sigh of relief. The opportunity one missed in my past life, I've finally seized it this time, but I know this is just the beginning. Melody won't let this go. Sure enough, I received several strange messages that evening. Are you Autumn? Heard you charge $300 per night. Wait, hey beautiful, wanna hang out? I'll pay $500. Send me the address. I'm heading over now. I blankly took a screenshot and saved it, then opened a voice recording app and left myself a message. This is Autumn. It's currently 8 p.m. on September 16th, starting from 7 o'clock. I've been receiving harassing messages one after another. The content includes offensive remarks and sexual harassment. I suspect someone is maliciously spreading my personal information and false statements. I will preserve all evidence and reserve the right to pursue legal action. Really, after recording, I posted the video on my Moments, visible only to schoolmates. Soon, my Moments blew up. Autumn, what's wrong? Who's bothering you? This is outrageous. It's criminal. Was it the same person who photoshopped those pictures yesterday? Now they're escalating. I replied to some of the comments, saying I'm gathering evidence and preparing to report this to the police. Then I opened the group chat with my roommates. Rainy, Cece, do me a favor. What is it? Help me record something. Half an hour later, Rainy stormed back into the dorm. Got it, that bitch. She unlocked her phone and played the recording. Melody's voice came through. Oh come on, I just heard it from someone else. They say Autumn's strapped for cash and does. You know what, at night, $300 a pop, that's pretty cheap. Someone nearby asked. Seriously, she doesn't seem the type. What do you mean doesn't seem the type? Don't you know her family's dirt poor? Can't even afford tuition. Guess I'll have to find ways to make money. I stopped the recording with a cold smirk. Oh Melody, did you really think changing your rumor tactics would stop me? With the recorded evidence in hand, I immediately called the police. The officers took it seriously and summoned Melody that very night. Word has it she was bawling her eyes out at the station, insisting it was just a joke, but spreading malicious rumors isn't something you can laugh off, particularly when it involves personal attacks and defamation. Early the next morning, campus security came to see me. Autumn, the school takes your harassment case very seriously. Our investigation confirms that student Melody was indeed spreading false allegations. The school will give you justice. I nodded. Thank you, Professor, but may I ask how the school plans to handle this? The security officer looked troubled. Well, it's still under discussion. After all, Melody showed genuine remorse, and she's the campus belle, comes from a well-off family. I sneered. Professor, if the school can't give me a satisfactory answer, I'll pursue legal action. Online defamation carries a maximum sentence of 3 years imprisonment. The teacher's expression changed. He didn't expect me to stand my ground like this. Autumn, we're all classmates here. Was it really necessary to escalate things this far? Free, she started it. I stood up. Teacher, I'm just defending my lawful rights. After leaving security, I headed straight to the lecture building. There's a major lecture today. Melody will definitely show up. I'm going to expose her true colors in front of everyone, just as expected. I spotted Melody the moment I entered the classroom. She sat in the front row with puffy red eyes, looking utterly pitiful. Hanson was sitting beside her, offering comfort. The classroom fell silent the moment I walked in. All eyes turned toward me as hushed whispers spread. That's her, right, Autumn. Heard Melody got hauled to the police station because of her. No way. Wasn't it just a joke? Just a joke, with a cold smirk. I stepped onto the podium. Excuse me, everyone. There's something I need to say. With the teacher absent, my classmates watched me curiously. I'd like to clarify what's been happening recently. I opened my phone and pulled up the screenshots. These are the harassing messages I received last night. 27 messages in total, all with disgusting content. I sneered coldly. I raised my phone higher so everyone could see clearly. A collective gasp echoed through the classroom. How did these people get my contact information? Why would they say such things? I turned to look at Melody, because someone spread rumors that I charged $300 a night. Melody sprang to her feet. Autumn, what are you implying? You know exactly what I'm implying. I hit record. Melody's voice echoed through the classroom. They say Autumn's strapped for cash and does. You know what at night? $300 a pop. What a bargain. The classmates stared at Melody in disbelief. How could the school's sweetheart, always so kind and innocent, say such things behind their backs? This is fake, Melody shrieked. It's been doctored. Oh really? I sneered. Shall we get an expert to verify it then? Alternatively, we could ask the classmates who were there last night. Rainey was right there at the scene. Rainey stood up. That's right. I was the one who recorded it. Melody, you're absolutely vicious. What did Autumn ever do to you? Why would you hurt her like this? Melody turned deathly pale. She looked to Hanson for help, but this time, even Hanson remained silent. With irrefutable evidence, he couldn't cover for her anymore. Melody, I walked up to her, photoshopping pictures and spreading smut rumors. Quite the dirty tricks you've got. Too bad you picked the wrong person to mess with. 3 months left this semester. We'll take our time. With that, I turned and walked off the podium. Melody's broken sobs echoed behind me. Why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do wrong? What was my mistake? You killed me, and still dare ask what went wrong. After class, I was summoned to the counselor's office. Melody and her parents were already there. Her mother rushed toward me the moment she saw me. You must be Autumn. How could you be so cruel? Melody was just joking around, and you're trying to ruin her life. I took a step back, avoiding her outstretched hand. Auntie, your daughter's joke nearly ruined my life. Photoshopped nudes. Spreading smut, you call this a joke? Melody's father said sternly. Young man, be merciful when you can afford to be. Melody already apologized. What more do you want? We can compensate you for your losses. Compensation. In my past life, could money have bought back my life? The counselor cleared his throat. Autumn, Melody's parents prefer settling this privately. After all, your classmates. Professor, I cut him off. Is the school really going to shield the perpetrator? What if it were me who photoshopped Melody's pictures and spread those vile rumors? Will the school let us settle this privately? The counselor was speechless. Melody suddenly dropped to her knees with a thud. Autumn, I swear I've learned my lesson. Please, just let this go. I'll never dare do it again. Her parents panicked and rushed to help her up. The scene descended into chaos. I watched the whole drama unfold with cold detachment. Melody, you know what? Because of your rumors, 3 guys broke into my dorm last night. If the dorm supervisor hadn't arrived in time, who knows what could have happened. After 2 a.m., someone actually tried to break into the girls' dormitory, though it was stopped in time. That terror will haunt me forever. Melody turned even paler. Her mother froze too. Is it true? The dorm supervisor can confirm, I said. It's all on camera. Melody, do you really think you can handle the consequences if something goes wrong? The counselor's expression darkened. At this point, it's gone far beyond just ordinary student conflicts. Autumn, how do you propose we handle this? Handle it by the book, I said. Fire whoever needs firing. Prosecute whoever deserves prosecution. I won't accept any private settlements. Melody's mother snapped. How can you be so heartless? You've just ruined Melody's future. I sneered. She dug her own grave. Besides, she never considered my future when she tried to ruin me. In the end, Melody's parents slunk away with her in disgrace. Before leaving, Melody glanced back at me. That gaze was chilling to the bone. I knew she wouldn't let this go. I'll never fear her again in this lifetime. In the following days, campus buzz about the incident grew increasingly intense. Melody's innocent and kind-hearted persona completely collapsed. I forced a bitter smile. More and more people came forward to condemn her despicable behavior, but eventually the whole incident was swept under the rug, because her parents paid me $3 million to keep quiet, thinking about my parents' financial struggles, future tuition fees, and long-term plans. Not bad to exchange this for $3 million. The school is hosting its annual finance forum this weekend. This is a major event featuring keynote speeches from industry leaders. This is a golden opportunity for students like us. In my past life, my reputation was ruined and I got disqualified, watching helplessly as the chance slipped through my fingers. This time, I won't just participate, I'll shine at the forum. The registration went smoothly. The faculty advisor noticed my name and remarked, "Autumn, I've heard you're exceptionally skilled in your field. There's a student presentation segment at this forum. Would you be interested?" "Absolutely," I replied enthusiastically. "Thank you, Professor." After securing speaking rights, I began thorough preparations. This was a golden opportunity to showcase myself, one I couldn't afford to waste. Just block them outright. But just 3 days before the forum, disaster struck. My computer got infected with malware, rendering all files inaccessible, including the speech I'd spent 2 weeks preparing. Melody was the first person that came to mind, but I kept my cool, because I'd prepared for this all along. All my files are safe and sound in the cloud drive, including that speech draft. "Oh Melody, did you really think I'd make the same mistake again? You're just giving me the perfect chance to screw you over. What a shame about your parents. 3 million. I pretended to be frantic, pacing back and forth in the dorm. What should I do? What should I do? My speech draft is completely gone. Rainey comforted me. "Don't panic. Maybe ask someone from the computer science department to help recover it." "It's too late," I said desperately. "I need it the day after tomorrow." It was Melody. "Autumn, I heard your computer crashed." Her voice dripped with schadenfreude. "Lost your speech draft. What a shame. No worries though. I've got last year's script here. Want it? Same old tricks." Handing me an outdated script to humiliate me at the forum. "Soon everyone will know I'm a plagiarist." "Sure," I said. "Thanks, Melody." "No problem," she chirped cheerfully. "That's what best friends are for." Hanging up the phone, I opened the recording file. The entire conversation was recorded verbatim. I've also received the file Melody sent. Just as I thought, it's last year's senior speech draft. I did a quick search and found the original text online. If I actually used it, I'd be exposed on the spot, but I won't give her that chance. The forum venue was packed to capacity that day. I sat at the student speaker's podium, holding my prepared speech. Melody sat in the audience with a smug smile playing on her lips. Beside her, Hanson wore an inscrutable expression, lost in thought. It was my turn to speak. I stepped onto the stage and took a deep breath. "Honorable teachers and fellow students, good day to you all. Today, I'd like to share with you. My presentation features fresh insights, original perspectives, and well-documented data." The audience responded with intermittent murmurs of approval. Several industry heavyweights nodded approvingly. The speech concluded with thunderous applause. I bowed in gratitude, catching Melody's stunned expression from the corner of my eye. Indeed, I was using my own prepared script. "You think I'd fall for that? How naive." After the forum concluded, an executive from an investment firm approached me. "Autumn, your speech was brilliant. Our company is currently hiring interns. Would you be interested?" I excitedly accepted the business card. "That's wonderful. Thank you. This is one of the top investment firms in the industry. An internship there would be a huge boost to my resume." Just then, Melody came charging over. "What? How could you possibly have the speech draft? Didn't your computer break down?" She practically shouted the words. Everyone nearby turned to look. I blinked innocently. "It is broken though, but I've got backups. You didn't think I'd keep such important files only on my computer, did you?" Melody's face was a picture, flushing red and pale by turns, like a painter's palette. "By the way," I took out my phone. "I forwarded last year's speech draft you gave me to the professor." "I do. The professor said we need to investigate how previous year's drafts got leaked. This constitutes academic misconduct." Melody's eyes widened. You framed me." "Framed?" I tilted my head. "But you gave me the manuscript willingly. I've even got recordings." Melody's voice came through clearly. "Oh no, did you lose your speech draft? What a shame. But don't worry, I happen to have last year's version. Want it?" The crowd began murmuring among themselves. Nobody was fooled. They all recognized the malice behind those words. The executive frowned. "Miss, why did you give Autumn previous drafts?" Melody stammered, lost for words. Finally, Melody fled under the scornful gazes of everyone present. I happily tucked away my phone. News of Melody receiving major disciplinary action spread like wildfire across campus. He let out a cold snort. To make matters worse, she was stripped of all academic honors this semester due to repeatedly framing classmates. This came as a crushing blow to someone as fiercely competitive as her. I could tell she was about to lose it, for something big is about to go down. Sure enough, a post was pinned to the top of the school forum the next day. Expose, finance major Autumn's messy love life, playing multiple partners. The post contained numerous photos. These are all photos of me with different guys. Some show us studying together at the library. Others capture us having meals in the cafeteria. There are also shots of us chatting by the school gate. Every photo came with suggestive captions. Things like late night rendezvous and intimate behavior. The comments section blew up with thousands of replies. So this is who she really is. No wonder she framed Melody, afraid of losing her man. Looks all innocent, but what a slut. I calmly flipped through the photos. They're trying to cancel me. After all, these photos are completely genuine. But those guys are either classmates from group projects or friends from clubs. Just normal social interactions. Yet they're being twisted with such malicious interpretations. I unlocked my phone and logged into the forum, determined not to give Melody any more room to maneuver. Created a new thread, response to expose post, bring your evidence. It's quite simple. Someone posted photos of me with male classmates, claiming I have a messy personal life. I'd like to ask the poster, 1. Does studying together in the library count as a date? Is eating together in the cafeteria considered flirting? Does talking by the school gate count as a secret rendezvous? If so, then the entire student body has issues. If not, then why are you spreading rumors? By the way, I know all the guys in this photo, at Alex, at Luca, at Axel. Care to explain, what exactly is our relationship? Soon enough, everyone I tagged replied, Alex, seriously, who's got nothing better to do? We were literally working on a group project that day. For my own good, Luca, what's wrong with grabbing lunch together at the cafeteria? The OP must be seriously messed up. I sneered coldly. Axel, I can vouch for Autumn's good character. Stop spreading malicious rumors. More and more people began speaking up. They not only clarified our relationship but also condemned the poster's malicious intent. The tide is turning, so that's how it is. I almost fell for it. The poster is downright vicious. This is clearly a setup. Could it be Melody again? She's been pulling this kind of stunt quite often lately. I promptly added, I've taken screenshots of all evidence. Literally, I reserve the right to pursue legal action against malicious rumor mongers. Shortly after sending this reply, that expose post got deleted. The poster chickened out, but I wasn't done yet. I went straight to the student council office. Hansen's face darkened when he saw me. What are you doing here? Those photos were taken with the student council's camera. Weren't they? Hansen jumped to his feet. What nonsense are you spouting? We'll know whether it's nonsense or not once we investigate. I pulled up the photo's properties. Camera model, Canon EOS 5D Mark IV. This model is exclusively used by the student council. The other student council members exchanged uneasy glances, and I zoomed in on a corner of the photo. See that? The reflection in the glass. The photographer was wearing a student council uniform. The evidence is undeniable. Hansen's expression grew increasingly grim. Hansen, I stood up. You abused your authority to secretly photograph classmates and spread malicious rumors. Your position as chairman won't last much longer. Hansen's face turned beet red. Everyone stared at Hansen in shock. So this was what their respected chairman had been doing all along. I said, Hansen, you're on your own now. Whispered murmurs rose behind me. Hansen's reputation was completely shattered that very night. Hansen resigned as student council president, citing personal reasons. Enough. Meanwhile, the whole school knew the truth. He helped Melody abuse his authority for improper dealings. When the scandal broke, he had no choice but to resign in disgrace. Melody completely panicked. The next day, she came to see me again. This time it wasn't in the dorm, but on the rooftop. Fine, Autumn, you win. Happy now. Her usual charm was gone, eyes bloodshot, hair disheveled. Please don't call the cops. I'm done fighting. I'll even call you Big Sis from now on. Okay, leaning against the railing, I said, want me as your big sis? You know what? In our past life, you got me killed. Melody froze. What past life? Of course she wouldn't know. Little did she know her jealousy and malice cost me everything. Lost my graduate school recommendation. My reputation was ruined. Ended up dying in despair. Melody, do you want to know why I've been targeting you? She bit her lip and nodded. Because you deserve to die. I enunciated each word deliberately. Melody turned deathly pale. Do you really want me to die? She suddenly rushed to the railing. Fine, I'll die. Happy now. Melody, cut the dramatics. You won't actually jump. You're just fishing for sympathy. Just like every time before. Exposed. Melody flushed with anger. How do you know I can't dance? Then dance away. I'll enjoy the show. Melody trembled violently. Autumn, don't push your luck. Did I go too far? I burst out laughing. Just then, footsteps echoed from the stairwell. Several security guards rushed up shouting, Who's on the roof? Students aren't allowed up here. Seeing this, Melody suddenly hatched a plan. She deliberately leaned toward the railing. Stay back. Come any closer and I'll jump. The security guards panicked. Easy there, miss. Let's talk this through. Melody shot me a glance, malice flashing in her eyes. It's her. Autumn forced me into this. She wanted me dead. The security guards immediately turned to me with accusing stares. Calmly pulling out my phone, I said, I've got it recorded. I've recorded every word she said since she approached me. Melody's performance came to an abrupt halt. The security guards' expressions changed after hearing the recording, so it was all an act. The security captain glared darkly. Come with us, you two. This matter must be reported to the school. Melody was completely stunned. She never expected I'd even anticipate this. After being taken to the security office, I handed over all the audio recordings from my phone, not just from today. There were also recordings of her spreading rumors and framing me from before. The security officer's expression grew increasingly grave as they listened. Melody, you're accused of repeated false accusations, spreading rumors, and extortion. Given the severity, we'll report this to the school administration with a recommendation for expulsion. No, Melody screamed. You can't expel me. My parents will kill me. You've made your bed, now lie in it. News of Melody's expulsion spread like wildfire across campus. Then she got arrested thanks to the evidence I provided. This time even her parents were disappointed. No more bailouts. She was sentenced. Her life completely ruined. Hansen also faced disciplinary action, though not fired. The severe reprimand permanently tarnished his record. His future was destroyed. I've stepped onto a new chapter of my life. I ranked first in my grade for the final exams. My postgraduate recommendation was finalized. I got accepted by my dream advisor. The internship at that investment firm is going smoothly. My skills were recognized with a full-time offer even before graduation. Plus I've got $3 million in the bank. The dark clouds of the past have lifted. The road ahead is still long. Yet bathed in sunlight, I'm overjoyed. Story 2, the clan decree. Whoever achieves greater synergy with their beastkin and trains a more powerful companion shall inherit the patriarch's seat. In our past life, my sister obsessed over becoming matriarch and hastily claimed the divine phoenix as her beastkin, but the phoenix harbored a latent affliction. It couldn't even assume human form before succumbing to illness within years. Meanwhile, I chose a near-death white wolf that, once healed, became a ferocious champion, defeating every beastkin in the clan. Father outright declared me the next head of the household. Consumed by jealousy, my sister secretly seduced my beastman, and together they plotted to kill me and seize the family leadership. Turns out my beastman Fenrir had fallen for my sister at first sight, being chosen by me instead. He'd resented me ever since for keeping them apart. When I accidentally uncovered their scheme, they decided to go all the way and kill me outright. Knowing escape was hopeless and refusing to let that wretched pair succeed, I channeled all my spiritual energy to detonate it, taking them down with me. When I opened my eyes again, my sister and I had returned to the day of the beastkin selection. This time she begged our father, I don't want the phoenix. Father, please let me have the white wolf as my beastkin. I immediately rushed forward and embraced the phoenix. In this lifetime, I'll claim the family headship, and both your lives. Father, I choose this white wolf, declared Sister Serafina. The entire gathering turned in stunned silence. Father froze in disbelief. My sister and I share no blood mother. Her mother's marriage to father was purely political. No love ever grew between them. Serafina's mother died during childbirth, and soon after, my father married my mother, bringing me into the world. Serafina always believed my mother seduced our father and tore her family apart. She's resented me since childhood, constantly trying to one-up me. Now, when choosing both her future mate and the clan's successor, she shockingly rejected the legendary phoenix in favor of a mortally wounded white wolf, a choice that visibly stunned our father. Serafina, are you absolutely certain? This decision is irreversible. Father pressed again. My sister clung to father's arm, pleading, Father, look how pitiful this white wolf is. If we don't save him now, he'll die. How could I bear that? Let younger sister have the phoenix. I only want the white wolf. Father turned to me. What about you, Ember? Who would you choose? I looked at the listless phoenix and said, I'd like to choose this phoenix. Father seemed quite pleased with my choice, smiling and nodding in approval. My sister and I publicly bonded with our chosen beastkin mates. Our eyes met as she flashed me a challenging grin. This lifetime, the white wolf and clan leadership will be mine. In that instant, I knew she'd been reborn too, since ancient times. Monstrous beasts roamed the earth while humanity struggled against them. Only when beastkin emerged 5 centuries ago did mankind finally gain the upper hand in this age-old conflict. Legend says beast folk are offspring of humans mating with savage beasts. Without forming a pact with humans, they gradually lose their sanity and degenerate into feral monsters, though beast folk aid humans against wild beasts. Their mixed bloodline and unstable nature have made them despised since birth, treated as little more than slaves. My family belongs to the Beastmaster lineage, where every child selects their personal beastfolk companion upon coming of age. Our clan's law decrees, the heir shall be whoever achieves deepest synergy with their beastfolk and trains the mightiest warrior. In our past life, Serafina was hell-bent on surpassing me to become clan leader. Hastily choosing the phoenix Thor while smugly believing victory was assured, yet Thor remained chronically ill, unable to even assume human form, and withered away within years. Meanwhile, I selected a battered white wolf on death's door. After nursing it back, it became a ferocious beast that crushed every other war creature in the clan. Father immediately declared me the rightful heir. My sister was consumed by jealousy and secretly seduced my orc plotting with him to murder me and seize the family's leadership. It turns out my orc Fenrir had fallen for my sister at first sight, but fatefully ended up being chosen by me instead. He always believed that if not for me, his kind-hearted sister would never have abandoned him. Convinced, I tore them apart, nursing this grudge against me. When I accidentally uncovered their conspiracy, they decided to go all the way and kill me outright. Knowing escape was hopeless and refusing to let that wretched pair succeed, I channeled all my spiritual energy into a final explosion, taking them down with me. When my eyes opened again, Seraphina and I had been reborn together. In this life, Seraphina chose the beastman Fenrir without hesitation. She sneered at me, "This time, I'll be the one leading the family, while you and that worthless Thor become the laughingstock of the realm." Both Thor and Fenrir require medical attention. Since the selection's been made, Father instructed us to return early with the beast folk. On our way back, Seraphina couldn't resist sneering at me. "Little sister, how could you settle for beast folk so carelessly? Aren't you afraid you'll regret it? Though this phoenix is a divine beast, judging by its sickly appearance, I doubt it'll survive much longer. If that happens, dear sister, you'll lose eligibility for the family head position. And to become a widow so young, what a dreadful predicament that would be." Seraphina was recounting her past life with Thor, yet now she's using it to mock me. "Sister, save your concern for your white wolf." Thor's condition was the real priority now. I didn't bother arguing with Seraphina and hurried off to find a healer. Every beastkin present today had been meticulously chosen by Father. Each bloodline carried unique strengths, and their injuries were either minor or treatable. Only Thor was different. As an ancient phoenix, his value was beyond measure. Even in poor health, no one dared remove him from the list. In my past life, I chose Fenrir because he was gravely injured and on the brink of death. Had I not taken him in, he might have perished. I reasoned that since all the orcs present had been vetted by my father, none could be truly terrible. Moved by compassion in that moment, I brought him home. Little did I know Fenrir had instantly taken a liking to Seraphina. Convinced that even if I hadn't chosen him, her kindness wouldn't have let him die, and thus blamed me for tearing them apart. 02. Every full moon, Fenrir's orc blood would trigger uncontrollable frenzy under the influence of his wolf lineage, driving him to rampage and even self-harm. Even if tied up, his frenzied thrashing would only injure himself. Knowing he was my orc comrade in arms, I couldn't bear to see him self-harm, so I'd always step forward to calm him. Whether from boiling beast blood or some grudge against me, he'd always end up wounding me instead. This lifetime, freed from my interference, I'll finally see how those two truly fare. The physicians were at their wits' end regarding Thor's condition. After all, the phoenix is an ancient divine bird, rare in number and unseen for ages, leaving few records to consult. The physician suggested the local environment might be unsuitable for the phoenix, or there could be other causes. Returning it to its ancestral lands might offer a cure. Thor remained listless, utterly indifferent to the physician's words. Seraphina, who arrived fashionably late with Fenrir, feigned concern and said, "Oh dear sister, what a predicament. Don't tell me you've managed to kill him. This is an ancient divine bird we're talking about. If you can't even keep such an auspicious creature alive, how dare you call yourself a beast tamer?" The crowd around us began whispering and casting judgmental glances my way after hearing Seraphina's remarks. How touching that sister cares so much for her own beastkin. I shot back without hesitation. "Yet you've got plenty of time to stand here making snide remarks instead of calling a healer for him." Seraphina flushed with anger, but quickly composed herself with a new excuse. "I just didn't want to rush you, dear sister. In case you hadn't finished looking, I stepped aside with Thor. After you, sister." I left briskly with Thor. After all, I already knew Fenrir's situation from my past life, though beastmen held low status. Fenrir remained defiant. The guards despised his troublemaking and beat him frequently, yet he never learned his lesson. If not for that trace of alpha wolf bloodline making him valuable, Fenrir would have been put down long ago, but his rebellious temperament makes him hard to sell, too aggressive and likely to turn on his master. Coincidentally, our beast-taming clan was selecting war beasts, so Fenrir got eagerly pawned off on us. If he fails this selection and loses his worth, he probably won't last long back home. In my past life, knowing these things, I mistook his nature for untamed ferocity and often yielded to him. I devoted myself to healing him, even exhausting my savings to procure the celestial lotus, awakening his wolf king bloodline and securing his overwhelming victory in the subsequent beastman duel. Seraphina, on the other hand, abandoned all care when she heard Thor's condition was incurable, obsessively training him to battle savage beasts instead. At first Thor resisted, perching beyond reach in the treetops until each confrontation fizzled out. Seraphina certainly wouldn't welcome this turn of events, so she deliberately confined the duels to cramped indoor spaces where Thor couldn't utilize his strengths, forcing him into passive defense against opponents' frenzied attacks. Initially Thor could still win fights, though not without injuries, and his condition gradually deteriorated. The physicians could treat his wounds, but not cure his ailment. When Serafina finally grew anxious, instead of seeking medical help for Thor, she pushed him into more duels, determined to make him defeat all challengers and claim the family leadership before his death. Serafina didn't get her wish after all. Thor died silently on a rainy night, leaving no corpse behind, just a handful of ashes that went unnoticed until the next day. Her negligent care of the phoenix, even letting the auspicious creature die, ruined Serafina's reputation within the family. And her father was deeply disappointed in her. No amount of powerful beastmen could salvage her standing now, so she turned her attention to Fenrir instead. Not only did they strip me of my orcs and disqualify me from clan leadership, but Fenrir remains undefeated in battle. No descent could possibly stand against him. To think I met my end alongside those two in my past life, what wretched luck. 3. The phoenix perches only on parasol trees, eats nothing but bamboo fruit, and drinks solely from sweet springs. From Huizi as Prime Minister of Liang, Zhuangzi autumn floods. In my previous life, I came across this very passage while searching the archives for methods to calm Fenrir's lunar cycle rampages, but by then Thor was already dead, and even if he weren't, Serafina wouldn't have followed the method I discovered. The physician said Thor couldn't adapt to the local climate. In her previous life, Serafina merely fed Thor like a common orc, so he'd always been in poor health. I wanted to try whether Thor would improve if I followed the book's instructions on feeding and resting him. I took Thor deep into the forest behind the mountain. This entire area is our family's territory. The forest houses some fierce beasts, perfect for training our beast masters. With its phoenix trees, bamboo groves, and crystal springs, this place suits Thor perfectly. True enough, after just a few days here, Thor's condition improved remarkably. I practiced spiritual energy circulation daily while scouring ancient texts for a cure for Thor. True to his phoenix nature, Thor perched on parasol trees, drank from clear springs, and fed on bamboo rice, leaving us in peaceful coexistence. Then one day, Thor alighted on the parasol tree beside me and spoke for the first time. Why, what? I was momentarily caught off guard. Why go through such lengths to save me? Why stay with me in these woods? This must be hard for humans, Thor asked. I shook my head, then reconsidered and nodded. Living in tents instead of houses, hunting every meal ourselves, everything from clothing to transportation is inconvenient. It's truly a hard life. Thor stood atop the phoenix tree, looking down at me with an aura as sacred and untouchable as a divine bird. I flashed him a radiant smile. But what can I do? I've already chosen you as my beastman companion. Since we're bound for life, of course I'll strive to treat you well. Thor seemed moved by my words. A glimmer passed through his golden eyes, his majestic bearing softening into something warmer. I felt the bond mark on my wrist gradually lengthening, a telltale sign of his crumbling defenses. But this arrangement really isn't practical, I pressed on. When we have our own bamboo grove, crystal spring, and phoenix tree someday, I'll build us a cozy home there, then I can stay by your side forever. How does that sound? Thor remained silent for a long moment before murmuring his reply. All right. In their past life, Serafina and Thor's compatibility never exceeded 30%, and it kept declining afterward, subjecting her to relentless ridicule. I looked down at the compatibility line on my hand. It had already reached 90% in just those few exchanged words, so this was Thor's true nature. Once he gave his heart, he held nothing back. After that, we got along harmoniously, and the compatibility line kept growing longer. Thor wasn't much of a talker, but he'd greet me whenever he went out, sometimes bringing back small gifts like game or wildflowers. He truly took my words to heart that day and began treating me as his partner in earnest. With the comfortable living environment and the healing artifacts I'd collected, Thor's health steadily improved. Then one day, he appeared before me in human form, leaving me speechless with astonishment. Thor possessed striking features with delicate symmetry, his golden eyes shimmering like sunlight trapped in ice, an ethereal purity reminiscent of the world's most exquisite porcelain, so flawless it seemed sacrilege to touch. For a being of such breathtaking beauty to have been kept by Serafina in his primal form all this time was nothing short of criminal waste. Now that Thor could assume human form, it was high time to have the physician reassess his recovery progress. For, mid-journey, we unexpectedly crossed paths with Serafina, who stood encircled by fawning attendants amid a chorus of sycophantic praises. No surprise it's Serafina, she's always been the best among us since childhood, an 86% compatibility rate with Fenrir. That's got to be the highest in history, just a few days into the bonding ritual and already such remarkable synergy. You're destined to become legendary like our ancient ancestors. Speaking of which, where's Ember hiding with her phoenix? Could their compatibility be so disastrously low that she's too ashamed to show up? With that insufferable personality of hers, even beastfolk would flee at the sight of Ember. Bet that phoenix already ditched her. Just then, Thor and I came face to face with them. Far from showing shame, they only grew more brazen, taunting. Well. If it isn't Ember finally showing her face, we were beginning to think you'd fled after killing the Phoenix out of negligence. Some noticed Thor beside me, though they'd never seen him before. His noble and divine bearing bore an uncanny resemblance to the Phoenix, sparking whispers of speculation. Seraphina's eyes flickered with poorly concealed alarm as she forced a greeting. "Oh, little sister, what a surprise. Where have you been hiding with your beastkin all this time? The whole clan's been wondering about your absence, and who might this gentleman be? This is my orc companion, the Phoenix Thor," I announced confidently to the crowd. Seraphina's ominous premonition came true. Digging her nails into her palms, she forced a smile. "So this is what Thor looks like, quite unexpected. In our past life, Thor's chronic illness prevented his transformation, making her the laughingstock of everyone. After just a short separation, Thor has not only achieved his transformation under my care, but emerged in such a strikingly handsome form. Compared to Thor, even the broad-shouldered Fenrir by her side seemed too rugged. Seraphina had always been competitive with me, and now she looked utterly defeated, probably seething with rage. Fenrir was glaring at us too. Soon, she thought she'd found a comeback. "Oh, by the way, sister," she said sweetly, "what's your compatibility rate with Thor?" The bonding ceremony was so rushed. I never got to see it. In their past life, no matter how Seraphina flattered or threatened him, Thor remained unmoved. Their compatibility never exceeded 30%. She was so certain I'd be the same, deliberately pointing it out to embarrass me. Fenrir also grew smug, as if convinced my compatibility with Thor couldn't possibly surpass theirs. Since Seraphina gave me this opportunity, I naturally extended my wrist before her eyes, letting everyone clearly see my compatibility line. Heavens, 96%. This level of compatibility hasn't been seen in 500 years. How could this be? Ember, have you lost your mind? You'd even dare to fake the bond line, whether amused by toying with them or simply having my back. The bond line on my wrist visibly advanced further in response to their challenge. Faced with such irrefutable proof, the group finally fell silent. Seraphina stormed off in livid fury, dignity abandoned as she flung her sleeves aside. Fenrir followed close behind, shooting us a venomous glare before the rest scurried away in haste. Thor and I locked eyes, then burst into hearty laughter. Still laughing, I clapped Thor on the shoulder. "You absolute legend. Did you see Seraphina's face? I'm so thrilled I could eat 3 extra bowls tonight." Thor simply smiled at me. "You look adorable when you're scheming mischief." My laughter died abruptly, and I even choked on my own spit. Thor quickly patted my back to help me catch my breath. I waved it off with flushed cheeks despite claiming to be fine. Thor's such a sweetheart. By the time we finished with the healer, dusk had fallen. We decided against returning to Mirkwood today. Shortly after Thor and I returned to the courtyard, commotion erupted outside. When I opened the door, Seraphina and Fenrir stood there fuming with the same group we'd encountered earlier, their faces burning with indignation. Leaning against the doorframe with crossed arms, I gave them a sardonic smile. Well, what's all this? Midnight social hour at my doorstep. Don't play dumb, Ember. The compass clearly shows Seraphina's lost primordial beast remains are right in your courtyard. Damn right. We followed Seraphina's trail straight here. You can't worm your way out of this. I turned to Seraphina, whose eyes betrayed undisguised malice and smugness as she feigned concern. Perhaps the compass merely points toward Ember's courtyard. Let's not accuse her before we found the missing item. Dear sister, to clear your name, why not let everyone have a look inside? Fenrir glared at me viciously. Don't worry, Seraphina, whoever stole from you, I'll make sure they pay for it. The others chimed in. She robbed you, yet you still defend her. You're too kind-hearted. Seraphina, listen to us. Some people just aren't worth your kindness. With that, they barged into my courtyard one after another, ransacking everything in sight. Moments later, someone came charging out with a box. Found it. It was hidden under her bed. I knew it. It was her all along. How dare our noble beast-taming family produce such a thieving scoundrel? We must report this to the family head today and see her punished. Soon a crowd gathered around me, hurling accusations in a chaotic uproar. Fenrir even raised his fist against me. Just then, Thor stepped in front of me. With an icy glare and the divine aura of a sacred avian surrounding him, he gradually cooled the hot-headed mob. With reddened eyes and a victimized air, Seraphina cried, "Thor, I know you're Ember's beastkin, but she stole my mother's heirloom. The evidence is irrefutable. Are you trying to shield her? She's been with me all day. There's no way Ember could have done this," Thor declared in my defense, smiling. I took his hand and addressed the skeptical crowd. "Very well. Let's settle this before the family head." The group finally regained their composure and rallied behind Seraphina. "Fine by us. With witnesses and evidence in hand, let's see how you wriggle out of this." "Exactly. We saw them find those things in your room with our own eyes. How could they be fake?" Seraphina initially felt a twinge of guilt, but emboldened by the crowd's cheers, she regained her composure and maintained her pitiful victim act. "With feigned magnanimity," she said, Little sister, I had no idea you took this, but these remains of the ancient beast are my mother's heirloom. I only wanted an apology from you. If this matter reaches father, you'll inevitably face punishment, but since you insist, so be it. She dabbed at her eyes as she spoke, putting on a heartbroken display. Pretty words indeed, yet she made such a spectacle by bringing all these people to search my courtyard. With this commotion, word will surely reach father's ears sooner or later. If we don't settle this today, that baseless accusation will stick to me forever. Do you really think I'd let her have her way? In the great hall, father and the clan elders sat at the head table, observing our noisy squabble with knowing eyes. Ember, what do you have to say? Father gave me the first chance to explain. I turned to Serafina with a smile. Dear sister, might I ask when exactly these ancient beast remains went missing? 5. Fenrir immediately shielded Serafina as if I'd bullied her, glaring at me with fierce protectiveness. Serafina swallowed nervously before answering. Around 8 p.m., I wanted to look at the keepsake my mother left me but couldn't find it anywhere. I got so anxious that I asked everyone to help search. Exactly, Serafina looked like she was about to cry from distress. So of course I helped her look. Yeah, same here. Several voices chimed in agreement. I pressed further. When was the last time you saw it? Serafina clenched her teeth and replied, right before leaving this morning. If she extended the time frame, others might claim the relic was stolen and planted in my room during my absence. To pin this on me, the ancient remains must have disappeared today. Not everyone present blindly accepted Serafina's account. The patriarch at the head of the table furrowed his brow, already sensing something amiss. But there are always a few idiots. Answer properly when you're asked. Why keep bringing Serafina into this? You're the one being interrogated. It was Jared, my father's younger brother, still bitter after losing the family leadership battle years ago. In this situation, either Serafina or I must be at fault. And he'll surely seize the opportunity to stir trouble. Ha. That fool Serafina actually thinks she's fit to lead the family, I replied respectfully. I returned from the deep woods today. The timekeeper should have records of my arrival. After that, I took Thor to see the healer. We were together the entire time, with no opportunity to steal from Serafina. Besides, what possible use could I have for the remains of an ancient dire beast? He's your beastkin. Of course he'd speak in your defense. I turned toward the sound and saw a rat-like beastman. When humans and beastmen interbreed, their offspring could be either human or beastman. Unfortunately, he was born a beastman and a rat type at that. With no notable bloodline advantages, he was largely shunned by the clan until becoming good friends with the kind-hearted Serafina, which somewhat improved his standing. Today, he's been the most vocal troublemaker, eagerly pinning all the blame on me. At his accusation, the others chimed in. Exactly. He's obviously taking your side, we saw it just now. Serafina stepped forward with tearful eyes and said, I know Thor suffers from a hidden ailment, and you've exhausted every means to cure him, but these ancient beast remains are my mother's heirloom. Had you simply asked, dear sister, how could I refuse you, though it pains me to part with it? You're my own flesh and blood, and this is to save a life, but stealing, this you should never have done. You've shamed the honor of our centuries-old Beastmaster lineage. Exactly, Thor is your orc, his testimony doesn't count. Jared spoke again, glaring at me with sinister intent. Got any other evidence? Otherwise, you won't shake the charge of stealing ancient beast remains. I sighed helplessly. Does anyone here know the nature of phoenixes? Phoenixes rest only on parasol trees, eat only bamboo fruit, and drink only sweet spring water. Their sustenance comes solely from the purest elements of nature. Ancient beast remains are far too malevolent. They might benefit others, but for a phoenix, they're utterly worthless. Why would I take such a huge risk to steal something worthless? What's in it for me? Serafina paled upon hearing this. She'd been completely unaware. With things having escalated this far, she'd be in real trouble if she couldn't pin the blame on me. A loud bang erupted nearby as Jared, perhaps catching the sarcasm in my words, slammed the table in rage. You insolent Ember, we gave you a chance to explain yourself, yet you keep beating around the bush without proving your innocence, and now you dare show off before your elders. What, do you think you're the only one in the whole damn world who understands Phoenix behavior? Enough with this farce, she's clearly the thief. Guards, bring out the family discipline. Jared. Father glared at him disapprovingly. What's this? Does the family head intend to openly shield his own daughter? Jared shot back defiantly. The tension in the room became palpable. I can prove Ember's innocence, Thor declared. Jared shot him a disdainful look. You, defending her, don't make me laugh. Without a word, Thor let out a phoenix's cry, clear as jade shattering, resonating far and wide. Soon, countless birds came flocking at its call, a phoenix summoning the birds. This is legendary, someone gasped. Serafina's face flushed crimson then paled dramatically, a spectacle to behold. In her past life, Thor had never revealed such divine prowess. Had she known, she'd never have forsaken him for Fenrir. The regret now gnawed at her like bitter poison. Fenrir seemed to sense Serafina's turmoil, his eyes burning with venomous jealousy as they locked onto us. Thor wove a spell gesture, pointing at the box in Serafina's hands. Did any of you witness this box today? Describe what occurred? A flock of chirping birds suddenly spoke in human tongues. Don't know, didn't see anything. What's that? Feels really dangerous. Amidst the chaotic chatter, one bird flew closer, examined the patterns on the box carefully, and said, I saw it. Today a rat carried this big box into a courtyard. The box was so much bigger than it, sneaking around trying to avoid people. I found it amusing and watched for quite a while. 6. By the way, that rat went straight into your lordship's courtyard. When it came out, the box was gone. You're lying. A shrill voice rang out. It was that rat-like beast man. The crowd turned to look at him, recalling what the little bird had said earlier, and couldn't help but grow suspicious. Sensing the crowd's disapproving gazes, he panicked and backtracked. What I meant was, this magic was cast by the phoenix, since he's Ember's beast man. Who's to say he didn't use spells to distort testimony or command these birds to bear false witness, after all? They obey the phoenix unquestioningly. Exactly, such testimony is utterly unreliable, Jared snarled, fixing us with a venomous glare as his lips curled into a cold smirk. By this point, everyone could see Jared was simply making trouble without cause, but as an elder, not even my father could prevent him from intervening in tribal disputes. Just then, a melodious voice came from behind. What it says is true. The crowd turned to see a magnificent azure bird emerge from the flock, gradually transforming into human form. Grandmother Azure. The people greeted her with respectful bows. She was one of the tribe's guardian beast folk, the azure bird representing hope and good fortune. Her exact age remains unknown, but she had already been safeguarding our family with her abilities for many years by the time I was born. Elder Qingniao approached the gathering slowly and said, I've heard your quarrel. The phoenix's magic was genuine, and that sparrow spoke the truth. I can vouch for this. As a revered elder, Qingniao had no reason to lie for us juniors. Even Elder Jared, who had been so vocal earlier, could only bow in respectful agreement now. At last, my name has been cleared. Father's stern gaze fell upon the rat-like beastman. Do you have anything to say for yourself? 7. He wanted to argue? But faced with irrefutable evidence, he could only glance helplessly at Seraphina. Seraphina's heart tightened as she feigned hurt. After all I've done for you, why would you do this? Remember that winter when the blizzard hit, you and your sister nearly froze to death. It was only because I gave you blankets and clothes that you survived that bitter cold. If you truly value family bonds and cherish your sister so much, why would you steal my mother's heirloom? He understood Seraphina was threatening his sister. Gritting his teeth, he took full responsibility. I know nothing about any ancient beast's remains. I just wanted to steal valuables for money. With that, he dropped to his knees before his father with a thud. I was wrong, family head. Please spare me this once. It's my first offense. His father asked again, did you do this entirely on your own? He kept kowtowing desperately, pleading, I was wrong, patriarch. Please spare me. Since you've confessed, you're hereby banished from the family, his father declared solemnly. He'd expected mere household discipline, never anticipated such severe punishment. Out there, orcs live like slaves. He turned pale with terror and collapsed to the ground. Only when someone dragged him out did he snap out of it, screaming for help. Miss Seraphina, please save me. I did this all for you. Miss Seraphina, I beg you, save me. Suspicion filled the eyes of the crowd as they turned toward Seraphina, her forced smile finally crumbling at the edges. Ember, you've endured unfair treatment today, Father continued. The phoenix is a divine creature, and nurturing it will greatly benefit our family. For your merit in saving it, I grant you the family estate with bamboo groves, phoenix trees, and the crystal spring. May you continue striving for our household's glory. Elder brother, Elder Jared protested indignantly. You object. Father shot him a sidelong glance. Jared glanced at Granny Qingniao, who remained present, and said reluctantly, no objections. I cheerfully pulled Thor along as we bowed. Thank you, my lord. In the secluded tea room, I sat facing a suspiciously hooded figure. 5 million, I said. You can't guarantee the authenticity of that snow lotus either. I'm willing to sign a contract, no matter if it's genuine or fake. I won't hold you accountable. Full cash payment up front. Transaction concluded, and we go our separate ways. Deal. The cloaked figure across the table seemed tempted. Just as they were about to speak, the tea house doors swung open from outside. 8 million. Seraphina flashed me a triumphant grin as she glided in with Fenrir in tow. The stranger across the table startled, attempting to bolt, only to be pinned down by Fenrir. Seraphina settled into a nearby chair. Adopting her usual demure facade, relax, she cooed. We're just here to make a purchase, no need for alarm. Fenrir followed her command, releasing the man and taking position behind her. The man looked between me and Seraphina with uneasy hesitation, swallowing hard before asking, did you just say 8 million? Correct, Seraphina replied. Same terms as hers, payment in full, contract signed, no further trouble. Do we have a deal? I could see his hesitation wavering. So through gritted teeth I raised the bid, 9 million. 12 million, Serafina countered with a smug grin, clearly having come prepared for this moment. The man glanced between us, confirmed I wouldn't raise the bid, then sealed the deal without hesitation. I watched helplessly as they signed the contract, the merchant swapping his dubious Snow Lotus for 2 suitcases crammed with cash before scurrying away. Serafina simply sat across from me, delicately examining her prized Snow Lotus. Her Thor needed the Celestial Lotus too. What a shame, I got it first, Serafina gloated. This lotus blooms once a century. You're risking 12 million without even verifying its authenticity. I glared icily. I wouldn't know, but you do, don't you? Serafina leaned against Fenrir smugly. Last life, you bankrupted yourself getting him that lotus to awaken his Wolf King bloodline, right, Fenrir? Fenrir pulled her close with tender devotion. Indeed. I looked at Fenrir. He was truly different now. Having shed the defensive bristles from when he first emerged from the cage, seems his past life memories have returned. Who'd have thought his first act after regaining those memories would be helping Serafina stab me in the back? I really raised a viper in my bosom in that past life. Serafina flashed me a taunting smile. The clan leadership is as good as mine, with both Celestial Lotus and Fenrir on my side. What exactly do you have to challenge me, Ember? I watched her gloating expression coldly before offering a sardonic smile. Then I wished dear sister all the success she deserves. With that, I slammed the door behind me, leaving them roaring with laughter in my wake. Reaching the ground floor, I turned into a secluded alley where the cloaked figure from the tea house stood waiting. He handed me a suitcase. Consider our accounts settled in full. I accepted it with a smile. Pleasure doing business. The other person nodded at me before turning to leave. Those idiots Serafina and Fenrir are probably still gloating, unaware this was all part of my trap for them. Does she really think framing me for theft last time is the end of this? Dream on. I haven't even settled last life's debts. How could I let her owe me more? Who'd have thought Serafina would show zero improvement even with a second chance? At least Fenrir remembers too. Now he won't suffer unjustly for what's coming. In my past life, I spent my entire savings on not one, but 2 Celestial Lotuses for Fenrir. One was genuine, the other a counterfeit. Back then, I wasn't certain about awakening his Wolf King bloodline. I merely told him it was medicinal tonic. Fenrir remains unaware of the specifics. The real one's been in my possession for ages. As for the fake, I conspired with the merchant, helped inflate its price and eliminate loose ends. With half the profits as my cut, even the merchant couldn't distinguish between the 2 Celestial Mountain Lotuses. He probably assumed both were fakes. The real one only cost me 3 million. For the fake, he made double the profit. It was a win-win deal. I cleaned house that night. After depositing the money at the bank, I returned to the ancestral lands. Thor was waiting for me by the bamboo grove. At the sight of him, all past grievances seemed to melt away as I threw myself into his arms. He approached with gentle warmth. You look thrilled. What wonderful news have you brought? Yes, I nodded eagerly, producing the Celestial Lotus from my robe. Tada, the cure for your illness. I found it. 8. Taking his hand, I placed the lotus in his palm. Here, this is for you. Thor gazed at the Celestial Lotus in his hand, then at me with moist eyes before impulsively kissing my cheek. Thank you, he murmured. I gently stroked his back. No need for thanks, just focus on getting better. As a fledgling, Thor had ingested something toxic that gradually drained the iridescence from his plumage and extinguished his innate fire-breathing ability. The Phoenix clan, fearing either contagion or divine punishment, banished Thor from their midst. The outside world offered few sanctuaries for a phoenix, and divine birds like Thor were constantly hunted. After struggling to survive for so long, he was ultimately captured. By then, Thor had nearly given up on life, until fate brought us together. Thor told me I'd healed both his body and soul. After consuming the Celestial Lotus, Thor's health improved dramatically, and he regained his flame-breathing abilities. We've been training with the savage beasts of the dense forest to prepare for the upcoming clan tournament, and our teamwork keeps improving. Meanwhile, Serafina hasn't been idle either. Rumor has it she's been making quite a stir after consuming the Celestial Lotus. Fenrir failed to awaken his Wolf King lineage, leaving both of them baffled. With the clan tournament approaching, a frantic Serafina began relentlessly throwing Fenrir into beast battles, just like she'd done with Thor in their past life. Without awakening his Wolf King bloodline, Fenrir remained relatively weak, often getting overpowered in battles and accumulating wounds. Serafina showed no mercy, instead berating him loudly. Useless, you good-for-nothing wretch. Fenrir had endured enough of Serafina's abuse and snapped back. You dare say that? You always cower in safety during battles. What right do you have to criticize me? In the entire Beast Tamer clan, who else acts like you? Even Ember outshines you. Every other master treats their beastkin better than you ever have. The two got into a heated brawl, making complete fools of themselves. When her father found out, he summoned Serafina and gave her a stern lecture. A Beastmaster's role isn't to train their beastkin into mindless killing machines, but to fight alongside them as equals. That's how true power is unleashed. Serafina always just hurls Fenrir into battle while staying safely behind, which completely defeats the purpose of being a Beastmaster. Serafina now sees Fenrir as useless, while Fenrir resents her for mistreating him. Their compatibility has plummeted to a mere 40%. To make matters worse, Serafina publicly declared that she'd willingly part with the ancient beast's remains if it meant saving lives, no matter how precious they were to her. This led to a constant stream of people approaching Serafina with sob stories and medical emergencies, all demanding the ancient beast's relics. Knowing she couldn't protect the remains forever, Serafina decided to give them to Fenrir instead. Awakening his Wolf King bloodline might just secure her the family leadership. After devouring the remains of ancient beasts, Fenrir's power surged dramatically, awakening his ancestral Wolf King bloodline as desired, but this came with severe side effects. His werewolf blood could barely suppress the beast's savagery anymore, leaving him in perpetual agony as the two forces tore at his very being, a torment worse than any torture. The beast blood frenzy that once only erupted during full moons now struck unpredictably, compounding his suffering. Every time Fenrir battled those savage beasts, the scene turned into a bloodbath so gruesome that many refused to train with Serafina afterward. By the time we met again, the clan tournament had already begun. With bloodshot eyes, Fenrir roared at me, "Ember, why didn't you choose me?" "Why?" Thor stepped protectively in front of me. Fenrir was clearly not himself. I patted Thor's shoulder reassuringly before turning a cold gaze toward Fenrir. "Didn't you adore Serafina? Now that you've gotten what you wanted, why come looking for me?" Hope flashed in Fenrir's eyes as he lunged forward desperately, only to be blocked by Thor. "It's not like that, Ember," he pleaded frantically. "I was wrong. I swear I've learned my lesson. Give me another chance. Please, I'll never betray you again. I'll even help you kill Serafina. Choose me, just this once." The crowd gasped in shock. Serafina, who'd finally arrived, roared in fury, "Fenrir, you dare betray me?" Fenrir's body trembled in fear, yet his desperate gaze remained fixed on me. "What are you thinking?" I chuckled, crushing his hope. "Why would I ever take back trash that threw itself away? Oh Fenrir, you've got so many wonderful days ahead. Do try to stay alive." Fenrir's heart turned to ashes in an instant. All traces of pitiful pleading vanished from his face, replaced by vicious hatred. "You'll regret this. I swear I'll kill you all." After the crowd dispersed, Thor looked at me with concern. "Do you have some history with them?" "Yeah, bad blood, so you'd better protect me well." "Thor," I said, gazing at him with complete trust. Thor seemed to want to ask more, but swallowed his questions, simply vowing with sincerity, "I'll keep you safe, always." The clan tournament began, with just a single summoning of 100 birds paying homage to the phoenix. Thor could call forth countless birds to swarm our opponents, securing us an effortless victory. Fenrir's battles were always drenched in blood, leaving opponents severely wounded or dead. Even when warned, he refused to curb his bloodlust. Gradually, many challengers began surrendering outright when facing their team. No sane person would willingly walk to their doom, and so the day of the final showdown arrived. The battleground wasn't outdoors this time, but confined within narrow walls. I knew Serafina must have pulled some strings to move the finals indoors. Effectively neutralizing Thor's aerial advantage and his phoenix summoning technique, Serafina and Fenrir made their entrance. With Fenrir radiating uncontrollable bloodlust, he was teetering on the brink of becoming a full-fledged beast. The recent full moon had broken Serafina's usual chains. They could no longer restrain Fenrir's fury. That night Fenrir broke free. His beastly rage unleashed as he wounded many clansmen and nearly killed someone. Such a war-beast on the verge of losing control is extremely dangerous. By protocol, they must be restrained. If they degenerate into feral beasts, execute them on sight. 09. Yet Elder Jared insisted he compete in the clan tournament, arguing it'd be unfair to Serafina otherwise. The final decision was to let Fenrir complete the championship match before confinement. Fenrir's fate is sealed. And that's only going to make him more ferocious. Thor and I exchanged a grave look. Serafina kept her distance, hiding in a safe corner. During the full moon, Fenrir wounded her too. The nightmare from that night still feels fresh, and Serafina remains terrified of Fenrir. If not for the clan leadership, she'd have executed him on the spot. But before Fenrir dies, he can still serve one last purpose by helping her deal with me. Nothing would please Serafina more than Fenrir eliminating both Thor and me. I can see right through Serafina's scheming, though I've no time to deal with her now. Fenrir was nearly deranged, fighting recklessly without regard for his own injuries, consumed by bloodlust. Thor and I struggled to hold our ground. In such confined quarters, Thor couldn't utilize his aerial advantage and was practically pinned down by Fenrir in his wolf form. Seizing the moment, Thor unleashed a burst of flames. Forcing Fenrir back, I seized the opportunity to advance, using magic to block Fenrir's meridians, disrupting his energy flow and intensifying his agony. Serafina isn't the only one who knows Thor's weakness. I personally conditioned Fenrir's body in our past life, so I know exactly how to handle him. Thor and I moved in perfect sync, driving Fenrir back toward the corner where Serafina stood. Serafina glared at us with venomous hatred. She'd always stood pristine on the sidelines during previous battles, waiting to claim victory. This was the first time she'd been forced into such a humiliating retreat. In our previous life, Thor never even used Phoenix Summon, let alone his fire-breathing abilities. Serafina was completely caught off guard. Finally, I sealed the last meridian channel Fenrir needed to circulate spiritual energy, grabbing Thor's arm. I hastily retreated. With his meridians in reverse flow and two conflicting bloodlines warring within him, Fenrir writhed in excruciating pain. Sensing imminent bodily explosion and unwilling to die in vain, Fenrir mustered his final strength, just as I had in my past life, detonating all his spiritual energy in a suicidal blast. A deafening boom shattered the air as the violent explosion tore Fenrir apart. The shockwave sent us flying while the collapsing building rained debris around us. Thor spread his wings desperately to shield me, and through the haze, I felt a wave of warm flames. When I woke again, 3 days had passed. I was merely knocked unconscious by the blast. With no serious injuries, Fenrir had been reduced to a crimson mist. Serafina barely clung to life thanks to timely medical intervention, though extensive blast injuries left her permanently bedridden, yet Thor had vanished without a trace. Everyone claimed he'd been blown to bits protecting me, just like Fenrir. But I refused to believe it, stubbornly combing through the wreckage day after day. Then one day, beneath the rubble, I found an egg. I knew instantly, this was Thor. I went to Serafina's courtyard. The once proud noble lady now lay bedridden, completely at others' mercy. Her eyes widened in horror at the sight of me. "Why you? Where's father? Why hasn't he come to see me?" I sat by her bedside and said, "You don't know yet, do you? Elder Jared was found guilty of violating multiple clan laws days ago. He's been imprisoned. Why are you telling me about Elder Jared? I'm asking about my father." Serafina refused to believe her father could be so heartless. "Because Elder Jared is your real father," I said calmly. "What did you say?" Serafina's face went blank for a moment before she erupted hysterically. "I don't believe you. You're lying to me. You're lying. The whole clan knows by now. Elder Jared had an affair with your aunt, and you're the bastard child born from it," I continued. "What's more, to seize the patriarch's position, Elder Jared would murder his current beastmen whenever he found a stronger one to form a new contract. He's killed 7 beastmen so far. Now that the truth is out, he's been sentenced to life imprisonment. He can't even save himself now. I don't believe it. My father is the patriarch, not Elder Jared. Stop trying to deceive me." Serafina desperately brainwashed herself, refusing to listen. Well, one was the ruler of the entire clan, the other a disgraced elder imprisoned for life. If the latter were truly her father, what future could she possibly hope for? I deliberately shattered her illusions. "Aren't you curious? Why do you think Elder Jared backed you so strongly when you falsely accused me of theft? And wasn't it him who pulled strings to change the finals venue for you?" Seeing Serafina actually considering this, I scoffed. "You actually believe he loves you, that he wants to play the doting father? Dream on. Elder Jared only did this because you're nominally father's child. By pitting you against me, his 5 offspring get their chance to climb the ranks. You lied. You just want to see me fail. Ember, I hope you die a horrible death, a horrible death." Serafina completely broke down. I smiled dismissively. "Before that happens, dear sister, you'd better watch your own back." With that, I called out clearly, "Come in." A little girl pushed the door open, and Serafina stared at her in horror as if seeing a demon. "Seems like sister recognizes her already." I led the girl closer for her to see clearly. "That's right. This is the child you saved all those years ago. You gave them quilts and clothes to help them survive the harsh winter. Yet her brother showed no gratitude, dared to steal your mother's heirloom and was ultimately banished from the family. Word has it he got into a fight over scraps of food and ended up dead in the streets. Fortunately, his sister knows how to return a favor. From now on, she'll be taking care of your daily needs." Serafina shrank back into the bed in terror. "No, you can't do this to me, Ember. You can't. This will come back to haunt you." Ignoring Serafina's curses, I told the young girl, "Serafina did your family a great kindness. Make sure you repay her properly." The little girl opened her lifeless eyes and gazed faintly at Serafina. "Yes, master, I'll take good care of Lady Serafina." With a faint smile, I left all grievances behind the door for those two to settle. The moment I pushed the door open, I could almost see Thor looking at me with concern. Upon closer inspection, the illusion dissipated like smoke. But I'm not sad, for I know Thor will return to me one day. The end. Story 2. The news that the end of the world is approaching has been making a big stir. My mother-in-law just refuses to believe it, even though it has been raining heavily for a month. She still insists that it's just the bad luck of the heavens. I went to my husband and tried to get him to persuade her. My husband gave me a sarcastic look. There's no end of the world. I think Mom is absolutely right. You people are just worrying needlessly. Seeing this, I stopped trying to persuade them and just stocked up several trucks of supplies on my own. Later, the end of the world really came. They snatched my supplies and then pushed me and my daughter into the sea, leaving us to drown. I was reborn. I stocked up a huge amount of supplies, moved to a new place, and replaced the security door with the one having the highest safety coefficient. This time, they couldn't break it open. Instead, they knelt in the pouring rain and begged me to share the supplies with them. I held my daughter and had a cold expression. What were you doing earlier? 1. Slap. I've already said that there's no end of the world. You're just wasting money. My mother-in-law had a vicious look on her face and slapped me across the face. I stumbled and almost fell down. She has been farming all her life, and her strength is really great. The slap made me see stars, and my nose and mouth were bleeding. I stood up, wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth, and looked at her with pleading eyes. Mom, it has been raining heavily for a month. Even if there's no end of the world, we should make some preparations. Otherwise, when the flood blocks the road, we won't be able to buy anything even if we have money. Hearing me say this, my mother-in-law became even angrier. You young people have no sense. What's this? In our time, there were droughts that lasted a whole quarter, let alone a month. I sighed. She has been farming all her life and always considers the impact of natural disasters on the fields. For farming, a severe drought is indeed terrifying, but things aren't calculated like this. Can a severe drought be compared to a huge flood for people? In the evening, I found my husband and tried to get him to persuade his mother, but as soon as he heard that we needed to spend money on supplies, he immediately pulled a long face. I think Mom is absolutely right. You bitches are just worrying needlessly every day. There's no end of the world. There's no huge flood. You'd better give birth to a son for me as soon as possible. You're just holding that good-for-nothing girl and treating her like a son. Amid his roaring, my heart ached until I lost all feeling. I couldn't hear what else he was saying clearly. In my previous life, I held my young daughter and cried all night. In the end, I secretly stocked up a truckload of supplies, whether the end of the world came or not. This truckload of supplies could last for a while, but what was the result? In order to monopolize this truckload of supplies, they pushed me into the flood of the end of the world. Throw that good-for-nothing girl down as well. Who can stand her crying all night long? Hearing my mother-in-law say this, my husband was stunned and showed a hint of reluctance. My mother-in-law immediately started to persuade him earnestly. David, I've run out of milk for a long time. Will this child drink your milk? Her mother is gone. Do you think you can raise her? Listen to Mom. After the end of the world is over, Mom will find you a new wife. This time, choose a woman with a big but who can give birth to a son. I struggled desperately in the flood and kept begging. I could die, but please let my daughter live. I shouted desperately that there was milk powder in the car and there was no need for breast milk. In the end, my husband's face turned ruthless, and he threw my daughter into the icy flood. Anyway, she's a good-for-nothing. Let her die. Amid my desperate cries, my daughter and I were submerged in the devastating flood, and they took the supplies that belonged to my daughter and me and managed to survive for more than a month before they died. Reborn, I'm not willing to accept this. I will watch coldly as they beg but get nothing, and watch them die in the flood of the end of the world and turn into tattered skeletons. 2. I was awakened by the pain on my face. You dead bitch. When are you going to cook for me? Do you want to starve this old woman to death? As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw my mother-in-law's vicious face and heard her sharp roar. The rain outside the window was howling, and everything seemed like it was yesterday. I was reborn. Dead bitch. Did you hear what I said? Last night, I took care of Lucy all night and hardly slept, so I slept a little longer today. But so what? I frowned and stared straight at my mother-in-law's hateful face. The memories of my previous life came crashing in like a towering wave. I slowly got up and immediately slapped her across the face. Ouch. She covered her face in pain and stared at me with disbelief in her eyes. In the past, I might have just lowered my head and gone to cook. In this family that favors boys over girls, I've never had any human rights. But after experiencing my previous life, how could I compromise? Are you crazy? How dare you hit me? Can't I control you anymore? My mother-in-law roared and rushed at me. I slapped her back. Her face immediately turned red and swollen, as if she had put on blush. If you dare to wake Lucy up, I'll kill you, you old hag. I stared at her coldly. How could she learn to be good? She has been arrogant and domineering for decades, and it can't be changed overnight. She pointed at me viciously. Good, you have the guts. Just wait until David comes back. I'll directly ask him to divorce you, you lowlife. Let's see who will want you when you have a child with you. My heart sank. It would be better if she didn't mention him. Just the mention of him made the hatred in my heart surge up. He was the one who pushed me into the sea. He was also the one who threw Lucy into the sea. My Lucy was only 3 years old. I stood up, looked around, and then picked up a jujube wood walking stick on the ground. My mother-in-law's eyes widened in surprise, and she quickly stepped back. Are you crazy, you? Ouch, I'm so old. How dare you really hit me? Ouch, stop hitting me. Let's talk things over. Ouch, my mother-in-law ran more than a li away. I didn't bother to chase her. Since the end of the world is coming, I need to make plans in advance. I turned around and looked at Lucy in the swaddling clothes. My Lucy must never be killed again. I want to leave this vicious family. 3. What the hell, Mom? Did she hit you, slapped you in the face and whipped you with a stick? She's gone too far. As soon as David came back, my mother-in-law went to complain to him. Crying and sniffling, David, you know how old your mother is. Your wife almost killed me. I was chased and beaten by her like a dog. You have to stand up for me. David's face immediately turned ugly. Then he helped the crying mother-in-law to a chair. I'll go and see what she's up to. Is she really going against the heavens? Bang, my door was kicked open. Lucy had just been coaxed to sleep by me, and now she burst into tears, which broke my heart. My eyes immediately turned cold. Clara, are you really crazy? How dare you hit my mom? David walked up to me in a few steps and stared at me with his fierce eyes. Get out, you woke the child up. David was furious and choked my neck with one hand. What the hell of a child? She's just a good-for-nothing. It serves her right if she cries to death. A good-for-nothing can only give birth to a good-for-nothing. I admit that my emotions are not very stable. At this moment, I want to go crazy, especially after hearing his words. I remembered struggling to swim towards Lucy in the flood of the end of the world with my eyes red from crying. Then I grabbed the scissors by the bedside and stabbed at his neck. David was quick-witted and quickly stepped back. The scissors slashed through the air, and a sharp white light flashed under the incandescent lamp. David was terrified, and there were beads of sweat on his forehead. At that moment, he narrowly escaped death. We're getting a divorce. I'll move out tomorrow. You sleep with your mom today. I've set my phone to dial 110. If you dare to come in, I'll risk my life. I said these words to him word by word. David stood there, completely stunned. He rubbed his head, then turned around and went out. Slamming the door shut, my mother-in-law had a crafty smile on her face. Well, did you teach your wife a lesson, Mom? I almost died just now. My mother-in-law. Is Clara really possessed by an evil spirit? Damn, this is too scary. If that scissor stabbed down yesterday, someone else would have died. Right. It's just that I reacted quickly. Son, you're right. In the old days, there were people possessed by evil spirits. What should we do? Slap. I walked out holding Lucy and stared coldly at the two people in the living room who were talking about me. The two of them immediately fell silent and stared at me in unison. After yesterday's experience, the way they looked at me was filled with a hint of fear, as if I were a ghost. You've told your mom, right? We're getting a divorce. I'll move out starting from today. After saying that, I turned around and left with Lucy in my arms. The two of them didn't speak until I had walked a long way. Mom, do you think she's going to move to a graveyard? Don't talk nonsense. She's going out to harm people. She's doing evil. I stumbled. I can't seem to wait for the end of the world. I really want to kill these two mother and son right now. 5. My leaving means nothing to them. After all, I'm just a woman who can only give birth to a good-for-nothing, and I'm also a good-for-nothing myself. In their eyes, Lucy is a good-for-nothing who hasn't grown up yet. What's more, I'm suspected of being possessed by an evil spirit now. They can't wait for me to leave quickly. This is for the best. The end of the world is coming in just a few days. I must hurry up and stock up on supplies. In my previous life, there were also many people with foresight when I went to stock up on supplies in my previous life. In fact, the supermarket selling food and oil had almost sold out, and it was almost impossible to buy anything. This time, I must act as quickly as possible. It's very inconvenient to hold a child, but I have no choice. I have saved a lot of money over the years. My mother-in-law and husband are very stingy. Spending money in this family is a luxury. I never expected that this money would come in handy at this time. I first went to the villa area with the highest security coefficient. The doors here are all made of steel, and the glass is bulletproof, with an extremely high safety coefficient. Moreover, the terrain here is high. The previous developer leveled half a mountain to build this place. It can be said that this is the best sales office in the province, which serves the rich. As soon as I went in, I received a lot of cold looks. I was dressed plainly and was holding a child. It's inevitable that I wasn't taken seriously, but it doesn't matter. After I paid the deposit in 10 minutes, all the gossip disappeared, and flattery took its place. I sneered disdainfully. These people don't know that the end of the world is coming soon. There won't be a financial system then. 6. I settled Lucy in the new house and then went out in a hurry. I first went to a car rental agency and rented a large truck, just to be safe. I rented it for 7 days directly. After 7 days, when the end of the world comes, I don't need to return this truck. As soon as I got to the supermarket, I grabbed all the remaining food and oil. After that, I started taking various cans, such as fruit cans, beef cans, and lunch and meat cans. Then I went to another supermarket and repeated the process. I went to 7 or 8 supermarkets in a row. Truckloads of rice, flour, and oil were pulled back to the villa by me. This villa is over 1,000 square meters, with its own yard and cellar. I'm not worried at all that these things won't fit. Then I unloaded the goods truck by truck, to prevent the rice and flour from getting worms. I also sprinkled some powder at the door of the cellar. After pulling a truckload of goods, it was already dark. I hurried upstairs to see Lucy. It's not okay to leave her alone for too long. This child has been good-natured since she was a baby. Even if I'm not there all day, she still sleeps soundly with a steady breath. I turned off the light and lay down next to Lucy. I thought in my mind, in my previous life, I also stocked up a truckload of supplies, although they weren't rice and flour. They were all things that could fill the stomach. My mother-in-law and husband starved to death before waiting for the rescue from the country. Obviously, one truckload is not enough. I died too early in my previous life, so I don't know when the end of the world will end and when the country will start the rescue. This time, I must make thorough preparations. As soon as it dawned the next day, I immediately drove to the supermarket and started moving goods again. The money in my card was decreasing rapidly, but I didn't seem to feel the pain in my heart and kept stocking up on supplies desperately. When I came out, I happened to run into my mother-in-law and husband. The two of them were pasting missing person notices. My head hurt. It was really a case of narrow roads for enemies. I quickly pretended not to see them and got into the truck. The moment the car started, David also saw me and immediately shouted, "Aren't you going to stop?" My mother-in-law also turned around quickly, watching me speed away. She wailed behind me, "This defeated daughter-in-law, she's spending my money like this. It breaks my heart." 7. After driving for 10 minutes, I glanced at the rearview mirror. I must never let that mother and son find this place, otherwise, according to their shameless nature, they will definitely move in brazenly. Then, the tragedy will repeat itself. No, they must have realized something. They no longer believe that I'm possessed by an evil spirit, but so what? The end of the world is coming soon. They are reluctant to spend even a penny. They haven't spent anything. It's already good if they can last a week in the end of the world. They are doomed to die sooner or later. I quickly returned to the villa and started unloading the goods into the villa again. At this time, my phone rang. It was David calling. I frowned. I forgot to throw away the SIM card. After thinking for a while, I answered the call. "You crazy woman, when the hell are you coming back? Have I given you too much face? Where did you take that good-for-nothing girl?" The anger that I had just managed to calm down in my heart surged up again. I said, "We're divorced." "Divorce my ass. No divorce. I'm telling you, just keep hiding. My buddy works in the police station. It's too easy for me to find you. You'd better come back obediently." My face darkened. He could indeed call the police and say that I was missing or that I had run away from home. There was no doubt that the police would tell him my current address. This was going to be troublesome. "Do you hear me, Clara? Don't push me. We can talk." You realize we can talk now. It's too late. I'm telling you, you must be up to no good outside. Just wait for me to find you. Whatever you say is useless. I'll give you 500,000. We'll settle our score then. Fine. 8. I put down the phone, my eyes cold. After paying the deposit for the house with the money in the card, I no longer had 500,000. I turned to look at Lucy. She was awake and playing by herself, not crying or making a fuss. I was fortunate to have such a sensible daughter. Then I breastfed her, and she fell into a deep sleep in my arms. I put her back in the swaddling clothes. After that, I went out and directly called the loan shark's number on the utility pole. The other side wasn't a good person. If I wasn't desperate, I wouldn't choose to take money from them. But to be fair, borrowing from them was the fastest way to get the money. I directly borrowed 500,000. When I was leaving, the person in charge threatened me with a smile on his face. "Ms. Clara, remember to repay the loan on time." Then he turned and left. I sneered coldly. The world was about to end. How many of them could survive until the country's rescue? Borrowing money from them was a waste. After that, I followed the same pattern and kept borrowing from loan sharks. At the end of the day, I had 2 million in my hands. It was time to settle the score with David's family. They asked me to go home, but I stubbornly chose a coffee shop. Although it had been raining heavily every day and there weren't many people out, at least there weren't just the 3 of us. I arrived at the coffee shop in the evening. The rainstorm was getting heavier, and I had to wear rain boots to go out. The floodwater was already up to my knees. I casually ordered a drink and sat by the window, slowly looking at the rainy scenery outside. Soon, David came in with his mother. As soon as they entered, they stared at me viciously. "After hiding for so many days, you're finally being realistic." I slapped a bag of money on the table. "Take it and get lost. We're even from now on." The expressions of the two of them were extremely vivid, especially the mother-in-law. She immediately came over and opened the bag. When she saw the stacks of neatly arranged red banknotes inside, the corners of her mouth were harder to suppress than an AK. Right after that, David snatched the bag and quickly put it on his back. "What on earth are you doing outside? If there's a profitable business, don't forget about me." I was shocked by their shamelessness. 500,000 was enough to buy their lives. And they were still thinking about me. "Why aren't you talking? Could it be that you're doing something illegal outside?" The corner of David's mouth curled into a smile, as if he was about to threaten me again. The mother-in-law chimed in, "Tisk, I've taken care of you for so many years, with the betrothal gifts and the wedding banquet when we got married. 500,000 is far from enough. I've taken care of your daily life for so many years. Calculate how much that is at 100 yuan a day." I was so angry that I laughed. "How much do you want?" The mother-in-law hardened her heart and stretched out one finger. David was taken aback. "Fine, but I need a few days to prepare. Let's meet here in 7 days, and I'll give you 1 million. As soon as I finish speaking, the mother-in-law immediately opened her mouth. "Do you really need that much time? I can't wait. Hand over the money here tomorrow. It's raining so heavily. It's not easy for me to come here. You should think more about the elderly." They were so excited about getting 1 million that they couldn't wait even a single day. How could I let them have their way? I said I need time to prepare, otherwise, forget it. The two of them stared at me in silence. Finally, the mother-in-law spoke. 3 days. I'll only give you 3 days, otherwise, we'll call the police and see what you're really doing outside. The police aren't as easy to talk to as we are. If these two weren't so cowardly, I would have directly said that I was committing a crime outside. Now that they had taken my money, they were accomplices. If it were someone with more courage, they might keep their mouths shut, but I had no doubt that these two would immediately go to the police station and turn themselves in. It would be terrible if I was caught just as the end of the world was coming, so I nodded. "Just 3 days. Make it clear that if you dare to bother me in these 3 days, you won't see a single penny from me." After saying that, I got up and left. From a long way off, I could hear the excited sound of them counting the money. "David, we're going to get rich." "Yes, Mom, then I'll marry a pretty wife to give me a son and build another building." I sneered. "I'm afraid they won't have that chance. As the art of war says, let you in first, and then let you die." 9. After that, the speed of stockpiling supplies started to slow down. Because the streets were filled with water, even the truck had to drive slowly on this kind of road, otherwise, the engine would take in water, and the car wouldn't be able to drive. I was cautious on every trip, and most of the supermarkets started to close and stop selling things. Probably the supermarket owners also realized that something was wrong. They planned to stockpile the remaining goods for their own consumption. But the terrain here was too low. Once the flood came, everything would turn into underwater ruins for thousands of years. I finally found a supermarket that was still open and stuffed everything I could into the truck. I filled the truck and left. When I got home, I unloaded the goods without stopping. The cellar was already full, and the remaining things were piled up on the first and second floors. I had almost finished stockpiling supplies. In the last 2 days, I bought some seeds and soil. In the end of the world, vegetables were simply a luxury. I planned to grow some vegetables in the apocalypse. Lucy was still young. In case the end of the world lasted for several years, she would need vegetables. I had made thorough preparations, but next, there was still a big problem to solve. My mother-in-law and husband were like ticking time bombs that would explode when the time came. I had to solve the problem of these two people completely. This time, they kept their promise and didn't call me for 3 days, but as soon as the 3rd day arrived, my phone rang immediately. By this time, the hydrops in the street was already half a meter deep, and most of the cars couldn't go out. I wasn't afraid even if they called the police. David was nice at the beginning. "How's the million you're preparing?" I found it ridiculous. Couldn't he see that the floodwater in the street was already half a meter deep, and the rainstorm still hadn't stopped? Next, the river water would exceed the water level, and some of it would even break through the riverbed. It would start to sweep through the villages and towns, and everything would be annihilated in the flood. It could be said that civilization was already on the countdown. Sometimes I really want to know, did you and your mom really not stockpile any supplies? David was stunned for a moment. He probably didn't expect me to ask such a question. Of course not. Why waste that money? The rain really can keep falling like this. Those who start stockpiling supplies just because of some rumors are really crazy. His words were full of mockery and sarcasm. I laughed. This was for the best. I was just waiting to see how you would die. All right, hurry up and bring the million to that coffee shop. Then we'll be even, I said sarcastically. I have the money. But do you have the life to spend it? Can't you see that I'm just playing with you? During these few days of delay, I've already finished stockpiling supplies. I hope you won't be so shameless as to ask me for supplies then. I didn't listen to David's furious curses after that, because it was all going to end. In this life, the fate of Lucy and me was finally in our own hands. No longer would we be at the mercy of others, and we wouldn't die in the flood anymore. Wash away the sins of the mortal world. Come, the end of the world. 10. Under the continuous heavy rain for a month, the river water started to rise sharply, and the city's drainage system had already collapsed. On the 7th day of my rebirth, a deafening rumble came from the distance. Countless high-rise buildings started to collapse in pieces. A huge amount of floodwater started to sweep through the town. The terrifying waves hundreds of meters high could destroy a building with one blow. The city was collapsing at a visible speed. The flood was filled with the cries of people. I don't know how many lives were lost on the streets. These people were just unlucky. Next, there would be countless people who would starve to death at home because they were stingy or didn't believe that the end of the world was coming. Mom, the big flood is really here. David stared at the terrifying waves hundreds of meters high in the distance, his face filled with fear. Not only did they not stockpile any supplies, but these huge waves were enough to deal with them. At this moment, David remembered what he had said on the phone just now. Of course not. Why waste that money? The rain really can keep falling like this. Those who start stockpiling supplies just because of some rumors are really crazy. Thinking of this, he picked up the phone with trembling hands and made a call. Clara, you knew the news that the end of the world was coming from the start. You did it on purpose. You didn't plan to tell me and Mom at all. I laughed on the other side of the phone. So what if I told you? Haven't I told you? Enough. You're harming me and Mom like this. You'll get your comeuppance. I've already paid for my past life. Now it's your turn. You and your mom deserve to die. Then I hung up the phone and looked into the distance. There were some low bungalows there. In my previous life, they could barely survive for a month on the roof relying on the truckload of supplies I had. In this life, there was no need to go up to the roof at all because they didn't have any supplies. Even if they went up, they would just starve to death. Compared to drowning, it would be more straightforward to die now. Two small black dots in the distance desperately brought a ladder. Between life and death, no one wanted to die. In this life, they still wanted to go up to the roof. Fine. The flood didn't come that quickly, and they got this chance. Then what? They climbed onto the roof. Then what? I watched as they desperately climbed onto the roof. The huge flood that followed came in an instant and blocked their way down. I didn't know where the ladder was washed away in the flood. The two of them kept crying for help, but in the end of the world, everyone was worried about their own safety. Who could save them, in the midst of the ruins? I sat on the balcony on the second floor holding Lucy. The reason I bought this house was that I could see the scene of these two people's desperate downfall. They couldn't find me anymore. In a few days, they wouldn't be able to call me either. The signal lines and high voltage lines would all be torn apart by the flood. Everything man-made was so fragile in the end of the world. 11. In the evening, I received a call. David on the other end of the phone had lost his former arrogance, and his words finally softened. Wife, I was wrong. Mom and I were both wrong. We're apologizing to you. Immediately, the once vicious mother-in-law took the phone, her voice trembling. Clara, Mom was wrong. Please save my son. I watched this scene coldly and then spoke on the phone. How can I save you? The two people on the other end of the phone suddenly fell silent. How could they be saved? In this huge flood at the end of the world, swim. The water here was more turbulent than the Yellow River. Going down meant death. So how could they be saved? The truth was right in front of them, but they stubbornly believed in a miracle. But a miracle is called a miracle precisely because it doesn't always happen. You tell me where you are, and David can carry me to find you. David beside her also spoke. Yeah, I'm good at swimming. I'm sure I can swim over. You must have stockpiled a lot of supplies these days. It's definitely enough for the three of us to hold on until the end of the world and the country's rescue. Haha. I couldn't help but laugh at their ridiculous idea. Even though I knew that these words of theirs were impossible to achieve, I still didn't want to give them any hope. The river water was so turbulent that not only couldn't they swim, but even a small boat would capsize. Stop dreaming. I can't wait for you two to die. There was silence on the other end of the phone. The scolding I had imagined didn't come. Slap. David's angry roar came from the other end of the phone. It's all because you kept instigate me, saying that she can only give birth to a good-for-nothing. You kept telling me to marry another woman. Marry my ass. I was a bit surprised. David actually slapped his mother. Good son, how dare you hit me? Didn't you agree with what I said? Why are you bringing up these old scores with me now? It's my fault. It's all my fault. I could hear his regret from the other end of the phone. But what was the point? In a situation of lack of water and food, how many days could his regret last? I advise you to jump down with your mom and end it all. If we keep talking on the phone, my phone will run out of battery. There's nowhere to charge it in this end of the world. Hysterical roars came from the other end of the phone. Enough, Clara. Even without you, I can find food. I know where all the former supermarkets are. At worst, I can dive to get the supplies every day. I wish you success. I hung up the phone with a smile. 12. The next day, David took off his shirt and tied a rope around himself. He also knew that I wouldn't help him, and he had to eat. If this went on, he would die in less than 3 days. It was better to give it a try than to wait for death. Give it a try and risk his life. David jumped in and was immediately carried away by the current. He tried his best to swim against the current and get back to the roof, but it was useless. He couldn't swim as fast as the river was flowing, and he was carried downstream along with the water. David completely gave up. Finally, he used all his strength to pull the rope and climb back onto the roof. He and his mother slumped on the roof, their eyes full of despair. "Son, Mom is thirsty, then go down and drink." "I'm already full from drinking." The mother-in-law didn't even have the strength to get angry. She licked her dry lips. "Son, I don't have the strength to go down. You go and bring some water up for me." David stood up instantly. "We're all going to die. What's the point of drinking? How is it different how we die? You're so old. You should have died long ago. I haven't lived enough yet, and you still want me to go down." The mother-in-law's eyes widened in disbelief at what her son said. Human nature in the apocalypse can't stand the test, especially in such an extreme environment. The mother-in-law finally fell backwards with her head raised and never woke up. 2 lines of tears slid down from the corners of her eyes. The vicious life of the mother-in-law came to an end. 13. I was humming and taking care of the plants in the villa while holding Lucy and feeding her. I went to the balcony and looked at the small bungalow in the distance. One person was still sitting there, and the other had already fallen. Most of the anger from being reborn subsided, but the most crucial person hadn't died yet, and I couldn't completely relax. Just then, my phone rang again. "Clara, please, save me. Where on earth are you?" I stared in silence at the figure on the bungalow in the distance who was crying bitterly. "My mom is dead. The person you hated the most is already dead. I really shouldn't have treated you like that. I'm really sorry. Give me another chance. It can't be easy for you to be alone in the apocalypse. I can be useful." I could tell that he sincerely realized his mistake, but it was already too late, not to mention that I don't want to save him. Even if I did, I don't have the ability to. If it were really that easy to save, why hasn't the country come for a month? "David, don't you know, the person I hate the most is you." She just stubbornly thought it was good for her son, although it was hateful. It's not hard to understand. "What I can't forgive the most is that you unconditionally chose to believe your mom and kept hurting me and Lucy. I'm telling you this one last time, and this is really the last time. She's not a good-for-nothing. She's my daughter, Lucy." There was the sound of silent sobbing on the other end of the phone. I waited for a long time but didn't get a reply from him, and the phone hung up with the last bit of battery. I withdrew my gaze and looked at Lucy tenderly. She opened her eyes at that moment. "Mom," her voice was like a murmur, vague, but it made me burst into tears instantly. "Mom is here. Mom will protect you forever." The wind on the balcony was strong, and I carried her back into the house. Only then did I realize that it wasn't me whose phone was out of battery. I still had over 40% battery left. I frowned and looked towards the distance through the window. A tall man looked at the river in front of him and plunged in with his head raised. "It's over." I think he must have regretted it in the end. 14. The life in the apocalypse is very boring. Fortunately, with my daughter by my side every day, I'm not that lonely. Every day, besides watering the vegetables, I think about what to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have enough supplies in the villa and don't have to worry about food shortages at all. As for water, it's everywhere. I just need to pick it up with a kettle and boil it. The days passed slowly, and my daughter started to grow up, and I've been waiting for the country's rescue, but I don't know when it will come. Before I knew it, 2 years had passed. The water level of the river not only didn't drop but increased a lot. My daughter was already 5 years old. Thanks to her, there's finally someone to talk to. She seems to like listening to stories from the past. I always tell her stories before going to bed. During the day, I play chess with her. "Mom, are there really that many people in the outside world? After the country's rescue, will we no longer be this lonely?" Listening to her innocent words and the sincerity in her eyes, I smiled gently. "Of course, there are a lot of people outside. The country's rescue should be coming soon. Then you can go to school, grow up, fall in love, and have someone you like." My daughter blushed. "No way. I want to stay with Mom forever." I tilted my head and laughed without knowing why. There was a time when I was just as innocent. 15. In the blink of an eye, 3 years later, the food stored in the villa was finally running out. I didn't eat much every day and specifically picked nutritious food and vegetables for my daughter. She was already 8 years old and didn't look shabby at all. She was just like a girl from a normal family. "Mom, eat some meat. You're getting thin." I nodded. "Don't worry. I eat enough every day. It's you. You're still growing and need to eat more." My daughter was no longer an innocent child. The little girl already knew how to distribute food. Will the country really come to the rescue? I think about this doubt almost every day. It's already been 5 years. What a terrifying disaster this huge flood has brought to the world. Even such a large and powerful country hasn't recovered yet. 3 days later, I was taking a nap on the balcony. Lucy excitedly ran up to me. "Mom, listen, this is the sound of the helicopter you described to me." I quickly opened my eyes and looked up at the sky. When I saw that huge thing, I couldn't help but burst into tears. In the azure blue sky, the bright 5-starred red flag was dazzling. "Over here, my daughter," and I kept shouting and waving at the helicopter. They finally seemed to have noticed us. 3 fully armed soldiers climbed up the rope ladder. The leader looked excited. It's really rare. This is the area that was hit the hardest, and there are actually people who survived. Come up on the plane with us. My daughter and I climbed to the front, and the 3 soldiers were at the back. I've already said that there's no end of the world. You're just wasting money. But at the end, after getting on the plane, they told me a lot. The world was almost destroyed, even in our country. Only 1/10 of the population survived, especially in this area where I was. It's exaggerated that only my daughter and I survived. I lowered my head and thought deeply. After all, we spent 5 years in the flood of the end of the world. Those were 5 years. However, you'll have a good life from now on. Other countries have low-lying terrain. When a flood comes, entire countries are often wiped off the earth. We're the absolute dominant power of the world now. Now, houses are free. And education and medical care are also free. You only need to work 30 hours a week to support a family. Only after hearing these words did I finally raise my head. The end of the world didn't bring all bad things, but my daughter and I will always remember that devastating flood and cherish the hard-won happiness.